Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi Otts here, and it is a reaction stream today to a loss to the Wizards last night. And I know a lot of people are probably not happy with what happened last night. I'm not happy with what happened last night totally either, but I'm not overreacting and I'm not getting out of pocket and I'm not turning on the team. I'm not acting like a spoiled, rotten little child and having a temper tantrum right now about the Raptors losing last night. I'm trying to have wisdom about this, and I am. I'm successfully having wisdom about this. And wisdom is this is a young core, it's a long journey over years. And every step of that journey is not going to be pleasant. Some of it will be, but some of it will not be pleasant. And this is a step in the journey last night that was not pleasant, right? So what can you do? Well, be aware that this journey is going towards something big and better. Because when we played in the years leading up to the championship in 2019, there were games like this before we got that championship. We're a young core. We have young learning lessons to learn, and these guys need to learn them. And well, this is learning them. Another factor in this is a lot of people are not giving proper credit to Washington. The Wizards had the same record as us in the last 12 games, 4-8. And to be honest, just like the Charlotte Hornets and just like the Nets, the parity in this league is showing more and more. And people got to realize this. Sure, maybe in the past, teams like the Nets, the Hornets, and the Wizards were just easy to beat teams that you just penciled in a W over. But this league and the design of Adam Silver and the way that the salary cap structure and the way that they're doing things with aprons is making all the teams flatten out and be a little bit more even as far as how good they are. And, coaches like Jordy Fernandez and Charles Lee and Brian Keefe wouldn't be doing their jobs if they weren't trying to get somewhere with their young cores. If they were just inept and doing crappy jobs and not getting anything out of these high draft picks that they get, because they get good high draft picks being bad teams that have not done well in the last years, they would be failing. And the Wizards, in some ways, have the best collection of young talent out of those three teams that I just named. The Hornets have gotten better. The Nets are probably the worst of those three teams, but they have gotten better to a degree in just a little bit of this season. And the Wizards have damn for sure been getting better. Brandon Ingram, after the game, very clearly said, give credit to the Wizards. They made their shots. And sometimes it's not always just about us. Basketball is a team sport. And to win in basketball, you have to have your team show up and do team things and have a team of guys show up and do a lot of good things. They had 3 guys score 20 points last night. They had other guys like Sarr and Bagley that rebounded and blocked shots and did things in that way. They had guys contribute to winning in different ways last night, and that's why they won, and we didn't. We could have tried to win it. In fact, I was very confident that they would turn it to another gear in the fourth quarter and take over and win the game by the end of the game, because that had been a pattern for a while. And in some ways, it really did seem like a game that they were playing cat and mouse with them. It's kind of like, well, we could just kind of, Brandon's the most talented guy on the court. At any point, we could just switch it on in the fourth and overtake them. But nah, in some ways, this is what Brian Keefe said after the game. I'm so proud of my team. We held them off in the fourth when I knew that they were going to try and come and beat us at the end. And instead of folding and getting our ass beat, we actually went another level and made even more shots. Darko said this after the game. He said, we messed up because we didn't do physicality on them from the start, and we let them get too much going good for themselves. And that's exactly right. In some ways, we needed to knock them off their pedestal and stop them from scoring the way they wanted to, especially from 3, because they just got too many good vibes going. They just got going, Beach Boys, good vibrations. And what do you do when they get going like that? I mean, we could blame Canadian Keyshawn George for a lot of this. And then you get Bilal, you get Bub Carrington, you get CJ McCollum coming out there and getting his too. What do? Well, you have a team that's scoring a ton of points really fast all over you, and they're hitting their threes and they're shooting 60%. And you're still kind of having problems with your shooting with different people and your bench production and getting a whole concert of contribution from all of your members that play for you. The other side's getting solid contributions from pretty much the whole rotation. You got guys hitting shots, you got guys rebounding, you got guys doing this, do that. They concentrated on stifling Scotty. Coach Keefe said this in his interview after the game, that he was a point of emphasis, and we really wanted to keep Scotty from doing anything happy or easily, and that was a point of emphasis for our defensive scheme. I mean, there's a lot to look at this in this game. I honestly thought the Raptors played pretty well in certain ways. Of course, they didn't win, and everybody say, "Well, they didn't win, Lex. They didn't play that well if they didn't win." Honestly, they played pretty good in some ways, and we saw signs of life in certain areas that actually were very positive. But ultimately, the results-oriented group of the Raptors Nation are going to come down on the team in crazy ways and just overreact, get crazy. Josh Lewinberg going to write crazy articles. Michael Grange going to say this and that. Everybody's going to say the word failure and all this kind of crazy stuff. It's a long journey, everybody. You have to take in the delights of the sights, but also the horrors along that journey. It's not all just happiness and goodness. There are tough times. The NBA is hard. It's not easy. And people think that, once again, casuals are seeing the opponents and they're flipping out just because they didn't watch the game, but they saw that the Raptors lost the Wizards. And how the hell did that happen? Well, you need to stay up the current and understand that Wizards team has a lot of young talent, and they utilized it very, very well last night to get the W over us, man. Seriously, that's the story right there. You can paint the story in your damn head any which way you want. You want to go ahead and be miserable and throw a tantrum like a little kid? Go ahead. That's your right. I'm not going to tell you not to, but your suffering is optional, and your decision to do that is solely on your own. Because I didn't do that last night. I said, okay, well, they lost. Oh, well. I really hope they had came back. In fact, they made me look bad in the Discord chat last night. I was like, come on, guys, stay posy. Come on, guys, get vibes right. In some ways, I don't like the vibes in the Discord chat when people are too negative and they're saying, oh, they got to do this, they got to do that. No, just let them play. They're learning. They're learning for themselves. It's not like we can control them, guys. If they're going to be young, young people make mistakes and they flub good opportunities. This is something that is common in the world. Young people are ignorant and they don't necessarily understand what they got, how good they got it, and they don't take care of it and they don't protect it and they lose something. And that's what this is. You got to take things sacredly. You got to look at the game in a sacred way. You got to take it very seriously and be more consistent and be like, yeah, this is what it takes to win in this league consistently. But if you don't understand that and you aren't respecting that, you will have games like last night. You will have games like last night. And I mean, listen, you guys look at it on paper. Go ahead and say, oh, the Raptors lost to the Wizards. I'm all pissed off now. That's your choice. That's your choice. In some ways, I'll say this. It wasn't about us last night. It was about the Wizards. The Wizards were really fucking good last night, and they couldn't miss. And we could be self-centered and make it all about us over and over again. Why can't we say the other team was better than us last night, and that's why they won? Why can't we give them credit? Because they fucking shot the lights out and they kicked major ass and they deserved to win last night. We did not. I mean, there's always going to be a winner and a loser in the NBA games for the most part. That's the way it goes. They break ties through overtime. And some teams going to have to lose on every night. It's how much you want it, how much more bad you want it. Well, this makes the Washington season series more intriguing because now it's 1-1 and we'll play the third game against them in February. And, well, we got to beat them. Luckily, as Trevor said here in the old chat, let me do the old chat real quick. First of all, Trevor J's words of wisdom. It's easy to judge the mistakes of others, difficult to recognize our own mistakes. Yeah. Like, listen, everybody wants to judge the Raptors, say this and say that. Go look at your own mistakes for today. All right. Don't even do this because everybody's piling on them right now. And I'm refusing to do this, guys. You guys want to pile on the Raptors right now, you go ahead, but you're not going to find an ally in me. I'm not doing that. And y'all can go ahead and say, oh, you're an apologist. You're easy on them. What are you doing, Lex? Can't you say this? Well, listen, I understand this is a long journey and this is a young core and you're going to make mistakes. You're not going to be perfect. And you got to go through stuff like this. Maybe I've got a wiser way of looking at this than most of Raptors Nation right now. Maybe I have a more mature, grown up way of looking at this than other people because I can see the forest for the trees. I can see that this is a necessary ups and downs and tribulations of a team that's trying to get better and better. And it's not as simple as saying, oh, you should never lose to the Wizards because it's the Wizards. That's bullshit. Every single night you can lose in the NBA to any team at any time. And you have to take that sacredly and say, what do I have to do every single night to get to the court to make sure my team gets this, the W? It's not the same every night. And some nights it's very, very different. That's right. Trevor J., thank you for your words of wisdom. Blessings to the Jones family and all the Raptor Freak families. Trevor's saying Raptors run out of energy with no difference against Washington. I don't think it's that they ran out of energy. No, they didn't run out of energy. They had energy last night. They played hard a lot of the game. They played good defense at times, even though they didn't stop the other team. They were there and they were playing them. But as Darko said, maybe they should have pushed them a little more. Maybe they should have made them a little bit more uncomfortable because they were too comfortable and they were hitting their shots too easy. In some ways, they weren't totally hitting easy shots. They were moving the ball around very well, like we like to, and they were finding open shots and they were executing on open shots. And that's the difference right there between the Raptors and the Wizards last night is open shots were made on the Washington side. And on the Raptors side, they were not. And that's a big difference right there. That'll win you a game. That's classic basketball. Who makes more shots? You win basketball. Who rebounds and gets more rebounds? You win basketball. And both those things were won by Washington last night. Both of them. Both of them. I think that there was some weird stuff with Scotty being janky about his availability. Seriously. I think that I'm glad he played. But we also have to say maybe he was sick and he wasn't as effective as he normally would be because he didn't feel 100%. You know, Brandon, I guess it's just it's a complicated thing. Brandon was fun to watch last night. Brandon carried. Brandon did a lot of cool things last night. It was a weird game. In some ways, I was entertained by it, but I fully expect the Raptors to catch up and overtake them by the end of the game and win the game. But maybe that's the lesson in it there. It's like, don't wait to go do it. Start doing it earlier in the game and get it done and keep that lead ahead. Because seriously, it really had that cat and mouse kind of feel. Raptors only down by 4 or 5 points most of the game. And then, well, instead of them being the dominant team in the fourth quarter and overtaking them and landing the plane for a victory, the Wizards kept running away from us and they kept getting away from us and we couldn't get stops. We couldn't get any stops. And the team that held the Miami Heat to a season low earlier this week gave the Wizards their season high last night. This is the NBA, man. NBA is a wild league, and it's all over the place and crazy. It's all over the place and crazy. Yeah. Fortunately, as Trevor said in the other chat, the Raptors are still top 4 in the East after last night's loss. There's a little bit more separation between us and the Celtics, between the 3 and the 4 seed. But Orlando and Philly both lost last night, so they didn't overtake us, and they're still a half game behind us, and we still sit at 4th in the East. That's the ups and downs of this league. You think Philly fans are flipping out today? Yeah, probably, because they're probably saying we could have got past the Raptors. We just won our game last night. You think Orlando fans are flipping out? Yeah, probably, because they lost last night too. And this is such a results-oriented thing, the NBA, that fan nations are trained to fall out and have crisis. Every time their team loses, oh my gosh, we're so upset. We're going to be a little baby and throw the teddy bear across the room and act like little children and act out in negative ways against our team that are absolutely unnecessary. Criticism's great. Constructive criticism, yeah, we can do that. But just getting mad at them emotionally and lashing out and it manifesting in dumbass shit on social media, that's not necessary. And that shows immaturity, is what I'm going to say. That shows somebody who does not have high emotional intelligence. That shows somebody who's needs a life, honestly. Like somebody say that, well, the Lex just told me that. He does this Raptors thing every day. He lives, breathes, and eats Toronto Raptors. And he's telling other people that have a life about how they react to the Raptors right now. Yeah, I mean that. I was like y'all before. I don't do this anymore because my life would be chaos if I let my life be ruled by the outcomes of Raptors games. Like, seriously, why would you give so much power to something that you cannot control yourself in your own life? Why would you give so much power to that? Why can't you just say when the game is over and the buzz is over and you see the result, well, there's next time, and just move on with your life and put your focus on something else? If you're going to get all bent out of shape, why? What is that helping anything? Seriously, what does that help? Anything? Nothing. It doesn't help jack shit for you to get all pissed off and be all this and that about them last night. Seriously. What's the point? Why? Wizards, congratulations. Y'all shot really well last night. You deserve the win. I'm proud of y'all. In some ways, I'm very proud of the Wizards because honestly, they're showing signs of life that they may be able to become a better team. And that's interesting to me, even if it's scary and the NBA is harder now because there's no easy teams anymore at this point. There really isn't. You know, that team, Washington, they could have done that to the Celtics. They could have done that to the Celtics, what they did last night to us. Yeah. They get hot and they catch another team slipping. Even if that team's at the top of the Eastern Conference, can do that to another team just like they did to us. Let's not get it twisted. We're not special. Let's not be egomaniacs and say, oh, we're so special. Why did the Wizards do this to us? No, they could do this to the Hornets. They could do this to the Magic. They can do this to the Pistons. They could do this to the Cavs. They could do this any other fucking team in the NBA on any given night. If the right kind of things go in the right way for them, they can do it. So let's stop acting like, oh, we're so special. Because the Wizards were good last night, and they deserve the win. They shot like 60%, and they had 3 guys with 20 points. Why? You can hate on that. You can be upset about it. You can suck your thumb. You can suck in the corner and be all pissed. You can be abusive towards other people because you're hurt yourself. That's so toxic. That is so, so toxic. Why? Why would you do this? Why would you waste your time? Why would you waste your energy? Why would you waste your emotions? I didn't. I just looked at it like it is. And I said, well, these guys are young. They need to learn this. They need to learn. They need to learn is what it is. And you can say that and you're absolved. Why are you in it with it? Oh, because you represent so hard with them. I represent pretty hard with them. But in some ways, it's like hands off on this one because I'm not on the team. I'm not on the court. I'm not coaching. I'm not doing this or this for them. In some ways, I'm not a part of this thing on the inside. So why the fuck should I get all bent out of shape about it? I'm just a spectator. I'm a fan. And I'm supposed to watch this for entertainment. And if you're not getting entertained from it and you're getting more angst and upset in your life, then maybe you should step away. Seriously. We can't be grown up enough to watch basketball without becoming a spoiled brat by the end of the game if they lose, maybe you should step away for a little while and work on yourself for a little bit. That's what I would say. Seriously. Seriously, what is this? This is supposed to be something fun for you, not something that makes you want to go beat up people or get on social media and say crazy ass shit just in anger and sadness. In some ways, y'all just show your pain. This is what y'all do when you get on there after the game and go crazy. And I'm talking to the podcasters too, the people that get all bent out of shape and start acting all crazy after games with their reactions and getting all mad. Sure, I've been that guy in the past. But maybe I've grown up a bit more. Well, I've done this channel over 4 years. And I'm just like, you know what? What's the point of putting that energy out like that? What is the point? Does that help anything? No, it doesn't. Am I going to change the team because of it? No, I'm not. So why do I do it? Oh, because if I'm raging and I have to do something. No, you don't. You don't. Find a hobby, find an outlet, find something else to put that energy into that's positive and productive and create something instead of coming out there and just being vile and toxic with your attitudes and your opinions and the way you want to talk about this team right now. What is it going to help? It's not going to help jack shit. It's not going to help Bobby go get a new big. It's not going to help RJ's knee get better. It's not going to help Yak's back get better. It's not going to help Colin Murray Boyle's temperature to go down. It's not going to help the Raptors get more physical and stop the Wizards back in time to make the game change different. None of this shit will matter. You're just wasting your energy and your breath with your bullshit, is what I'm saying to Raptors Nation right now. You're wasting your energy and your breath with your bullshit. And who the fuck are you to say all this shit about these guys anyway? Seriously, let them go through their journey of mistakes and failures along with successes and victories, because that is a part of the big whole picture of what we're doing here and what we're trying to build towards the second Larry O'Brien for the Raptors. No team's ever going to be perfect 82-0, not even the Oklahoma City Thunder. So why the fuck do you guys expect them to be so perfect, is what I'm going to say to you now. Seriously, right now, you got to allow for them to do this. That's right. Superfan Mo saying this. Good morning, Raptor Freak crew. No one deserves stars of the game, but I'm going to give 4 stars of the game out anyway. That doesn't make no sense, Mo. I decided I was going to give out 5 stars last night. Normally in a loss, I only give 3. But that's how much I feel like the Raptors actually put some good effort in there. There's 5 Raptors I want to recognize from the game last night, even though it's a loss. Now, I can give 5 stars and say there were 5 guys that contributed on a positive level for the Raptors last night, but the other team had like 8 guys that had 8 positive contributions. And that's what I'm saying. You want to have more of your roster that shows up. If you had 10-man roster that plays in your rotation that night, you want all those cylinders hitting. And, well, the Wizards had that more in their guys that they put out than we did. And that's, stuff like off the bench, Bub Carrington. It's like Bilal is really a good player, guys. Bilal Coulibaly, like I said yesterday, is a very similar player to OG Anunoby, and he was showing that last night. He's probably the most like OG in the league. Y'all start throwing things around about these guys are like OG. These guys are OG. Nah, Coulibaly, and I called it when I first saw him, is like he's going to develop more and more into being OG kind of player. And he showed it last night. He had very much winning plays. He steal the ball and run down the court and dunk it on us. That's OG. That is OG right there. Yeah, most stars are BI, IQ, Mamu, Jacoby. Yeah, I've got one more star that I'll add to my list, and I'll tell you guys in just a second. But yeah, I hope that listen. I know some people will be like, "What the fuck is Lex saying that like this? Why won't he go in on the team?" Well, we'll talk about critical things that they could have done a little differently, but the overall message is just painting an angry, toxic, emotional picture after a Raptors game is not worth it. And we don't need to do it. That's what I would say. That's what I would say. All right, first of all, we got a game today. The Raptors 905 are playing the Maine Celtics later tonight. This will be the 3rd time we played them this season. Well, this year so far. We beat them both times in the tip-off tournament part of the season. So we're going to play them today, and we're going to play them tomorrow also. So it's a home and home against the Maine Celtics, and this is who our refs are for tonight in the 905 game. And hopefully this game will be on YouTube. It should be. And we can be in the chat together if you want to watch the game with me later. And in some ways, no, I'm pissed off at the Raptors. I don't want to watch their G League team. Well, maybe you'd have fun watching the G League team. And, the G League team's been winning a lot. So if you feel bad because of a loss, let's watch the G League team and understand that the wave from the G League of talent and goodness does come into the Raptors, because we know this from the 2017 G League championship for the 905 and then the 2019 championship for the Raptors. So our crew chief is CP Painter. Chalisa Painter, that's her name, Chalisa, number 66. The umpire is Gerda Gatling, number 24. No, she's the referee. And the umpire is Teresa Stuck, number 68. So we have a all-female ref crew tonight. at the Raptors game tonight. So that should be interesting. We'll have to see how that goes. The Maine Celtics, as I said, we've seen them a couple times. They're Isaac Campbell's favorite team in the G League for us to play, the Crustaceans. He makes a lot of lobster jokes about this team. We'll just go over their roster again, even though we've seen them a couple times already. Kendall Brown, Jalen Bridges, Rasul Diggins, who's a friend of the channel, Hayden Gray, Ron Harper Jr., who I don't know if he'll play today or not. He's been getting time on the Celtics, but also he's played some big games for the Maine Celtics. But what maybe we'll see our former player, Ron Harper Jr., tonight, finally again, because he hasn't really played the Raptors 905 when we played them. I don't think he's made either game so far this season. Keon Johnson, Makai Mitchell, Aaron Scott, Max Shulga, who was really their best player in the last time we played them. Max Shulga, the guard, he's a two-way. Stefan Todorovic, Hassan Ward, Cameron Warrens, Robert Woodard, and Amari Williams. I think he's wasn't he a Raptor? Amari Williams? Wasn't he on the Raptors in the last couple of years? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's a different guy. Anyway, that's who the Maine Celtics are. And yeah, 7:30, I believe, is the tip-off in Paramount Fine Food Center. And we know that our guy, Guardian Transit's going to the game tonight with his grandson. And hopefully they have a fantastic time sitting at courtside, rooting for the 905 to victory. Coach Andrew Jones and Chucky Hepburn, Elijah Martin. Yeah, hopefully we see some good stuff from them and we continue the excellence on the 905 G League level. Yeah. Hey, I mean, we got to look at the bright side in some places here, guys. Come on now. That's right. All right, let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Let's see. Good morning to the Raptor Freaks. Hope you guys, like I said, you heard my spiel. I'll try to be fair. I'm not gonna get mad at you guys for showing angst right now. I want to work with you guys through it and maybe help you guys deal with it a little bit more positively. That's all. Jimmy's here, the Pope of positivity. Let's see what he's saying. I can't take anything positive out of that loss. Well, I'll start with Grady. How about this? We saw Grady doing stuff a little bit more like I like to see him, being a participant, being active, getting after it, just going all out. And it was effective. You know, Grady wasn't scoring. He wasn't making his shot still, but he was contributing and he was absolutely helping us through the game with just dogged, determined defense and stealing the ball. And he was getting on the boards too and doing a lot of good stuff. I think the theories about Grady building his arms up too much is messing his shot up are true because his shot is so flat right now. And it's not really, the mechanics are weird right now with the extra muscle. So he has to adjust. He has to figure this out. But you know what, Grady? You find confidence through being all over the place and playing your ass off. That is the way you got to do it. If you've been timid in the past so far this year where you're not getting after it, that is the path to you being successful. You have to get after it. You have to get after it. And that means busting your ass and going and being a difference maker, looking at the telegraphing and getting in the lane and stealing the ball from them when they throw it a weird way. Watching your teammates shoot and you know where that's going to bounce and zeroing in on that position to go get the ball and be in the right place to collect the loose ball. This is all stuff that he can help even if he's not hitting his three. And he was doing that last night. That's a sign of life. And in some ways, it's something we can build off of to try and salvage Grady's year is him getting in that kind of mode. So there's a positive right there. I mean, it's a slight positive. I would say another positive from last night was the show that Brandon put on. In fact, he's my number one star of the game last night. Brandon Ingram put on a show. And in some ways, he's very fun to watch, isn't he, guys? You see him doing these little dribbles and moves and elevating and hitting shots. Brandon, 29 points in 33 minutes, 10 of 20, 50% from the field, 1 of 7 from three, 8 of 10 at the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 turnover, and 2 blocks, a minus 14. But yeah, Brandon is a weapon. In fact, he was the best offensive player on the court last night overall. And that's part of the reason why, well, we have the most talented guy on the court. We should win. You know, he can't do it all, though. And in some ways, man, kudos to Brandon for being that kind of guy on our team again. It's great to have that on our team. It's in some ways, it's just great to have that kind of level of talent in one individual on our team once again. And it is going to be a very good thing for us more and more going forward. Trust me. My second star of the game is Sandro Mamu. Sandro's been very solid coming in the starting lineup. He had a double-double last night, 33 minutes, 13 points, 5 of 9 from the field. He made half of his threes, 3 of 6. The threes are fantastic. And some is, once again, I hate that Mamu is our best three-point shooter right now. It should not be Sandro. It could be all kinds of different people, and it would be way better. But Sandro is the best three-point shooter currently on the Raptors right now, the way things are going. 11 rebounds for Sandro, including 4 offensive rebounds. So he was trying, no Yak. We're already at a detriment on the rebounds. No Colin Murray Boyles. Well, just add another layer of missing good rebounding. Well, Sandro had to step up a bit and give him some credit. He got 4 offensive rebounds, 11 rebounds total, 2 assists, 1 turnover, 2 steals, and 1 block. Sure, Sandro maybe could have scored more. Sure, Sandro could have been a better defensive player in some ways, but he's out there busting his ass. He's doing what he's supposed to do as far as like the kind of player he's been all of his years in the NBA, whether it's for the Bucks, the Spurs. He's an all over the place energy guy, and he's providing you with multiple different things in different ways on the court, and he's helping. He's helping things. Alas, we didn't win though. Third star of the game, in my opinion, was Jacoby. Jacoby woke up. Jacoby showed patience. This is another positive from last night, is we saw Jacoby Walter play correctly again, finally. And really was like that pause. Sometimes that's all you need, Jacoby, is that wisdom. You guys were rushing things and trying to go to the basket straight up. Now, maybe it's because of the Wizards, and they're not the most intense physical defense like the Knicks or the Celtics. And Jacoby can't stop and do a pump fake and do different stuff like that. And maybe the refs won't call the foul if they do physically just strip him or grab his hand or his arm. And it's dangerous to take that pause to collect himself, let the defender go by, and then elevate and make his shot. But he did that like 3 or 4 times last night. Very successful in his patience and his smarts of gauging when to elevate in those close shots and make those shots. That's a positive. We saw Jacoby reverting back to the better Jacoby last night, and he was flirting with getting that 20-point bounty. It's still out there, Raptors. I want to see, and Oshai, you can be in on this, even though you're in the starting lineup. Whichever one of you guys can get 20 between Oshai, Grady, Jacoby, Jamal, and Jameson, and even AJ, you were around. You could have possibly done this. I'm gonna be like partying and celebrating for you, because that's my thing. I'm gonna put this on those guys. Which one of you guys wants my 20-point bounty? Because one of y'all needs to score 20 points in a game soon. And I'm going to make a big deal out of this, like Darko Dinner. Yeah. If you can get 20 points, any of those players that I just named, I'm going to talk really mad good stuff about you on this channel. Saying that about those dudes I just named: Abaji, Dick, Walter, Shed, Battle, Lawson, Elijah, Chucky. Whoever gets 20 points out of those names next, you're gonna get the 20-point off the bench bounty that I'm putting on out there for somebody to collect. Jonathan, you could go get it too if you want to. So yeah, Jacoby got 15. So he's 5 away from collecting my bounty. In fact, I was joking in the Discord. Oh, I guess Jacoby's going to try and get that 20-point bounty I'm talking about. Yeah, 18 minutes, 15 points. That's great points production from Jacoby Walter. Unfortunately, he was one of the few guys that was carrying their weight offensively in the game. These other guys got goose eggs and goofy stuff going on like that. 5 for 7 for Jacoby, 2 of 4 from 3. He made all 3 of his free throws. 1 assist, 1 turnover, and even. He wasn't a plus or a minus. They scored in the same, even, between the Wizards and the Raptors when Jacoby was out there in his time. And that's better than everybody else, other than Jonathan. Jonathan was even also. All the rest of the Raptors had a minus, plus, minus. I don't know. Jacoby showed signs of life. That's a positive. Let's see. Emmanuel Quickly is my 4th star. Yeah, I went 5 stars, even though this is a loss. Normally, I would only do 3 stars, but I want to recognize Quickly for a second because he actually had a very good game last night in trying to carry with Brandon at the top. You know, we had two guys with 20-point games, Brandon with 29 and Quick with 25. 25 points for Emmanuel in 33 minutes, 6 of 13, which is not too egregiously lower than 50%. That's pretty good shooting. 4 of 4 from three. He made all four of his threes. He didn't miss a single three. And he made all of his free throws too. 9 of 9 at the free throw line. In fact, the Raptors overall were exceptional at the free throw line. They only missed 2 free throws last night, and that was Brandon that missed both of them. And 4 rebounds for a Quick, 5 assists, 1 turnover, 2 steals, and a block, a -4. He's stat stuffing and also got 25 points. So, you know, a Quickly had a good game last night, guys. He was pretty in control. And you know what? Did you see him do any crazy jacked up shots? No, he didn't. He was playing within control. And he did a very good job. He only had 1 turnover. So I don't know. I mean, there's positive signs in Emmanuel in his performance last night. He got 25 guys and he made all 4 of his threes. So that's a good sign. That's a good sign. That's a good sign of hopefully him getting things going more consistently going forward. My final star is Grady. I'm just going to give Grady a little shine for, like I said, Grady got after it last night. Grady got after it. Grady showed the scrappy, get after it, energetic Grady Dick that we saw the first 2 years of his career. This year has not been around as much. Well, it showed up last night. And that's getting on the floor after loose balls. That's chasing down rebounds. That's being a pest on the defense and making good things happen, making the ball get coughed up, making things good happen, and allowing for transition to happen. In some ways, he had a knuckleheaded transition where he didn't convert because he tried to go against 2 guys again, you know, and he didn't see his teammate behind him that they could have made it. You know, there's still dumb stuff he's doing. But like I said, Grady, if you play hard like that, and you notice when you play like that, Darko doesn't take you out of the game. Did you notice that, Grady? You got longer time out in the court because you were making a difference with energy and getting after it. And Darko rewards you by leaving you in and letting you play longer. 18 minutes for Grady, 5 points, 2 of 6, missed his only 3, made his only free throw, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. And you know, I want to nurture signs of good positive things changing with Walter and Dick because those 2 guys just need it. They need it bad. I'll go over the rest of the guys in just a little bit after some more comments, but those are my 5 stars of the game. Brandon, Sandro, Jacoby, Emmanuel, and Grady. Yeah, because, you know, look, the NBA is tough. It's a very hard league, man. Nako's saying this. Thing keeps saying you have to be a subscriber for me for more than 5 minutes. I miss RJ. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with YouTube. This thing with they're saying you have to be a subscriber. Well, I appreciate you guys subscribing. And I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe I'll turn that off and say, is it because it says you have to be for 5 minutes and then you can talk? Yeah, I can change that. I don't have to put that weight on there. So if somebody becomes a subscriber immediately, it should allow you just to talk. I'll change that when I do my settings for the stream. Thank you, Gerald. I appreciate that. Shaq Lindsay saying good morning. Thank you, Shaq Lindsay. Thank you for your support of this channel. I really, really appreciate you watching my song and that tip. That's very, very nice of you. And I hope you just had a fantastic Christmas. And well, let's make it a great, good 2026 with lots of good stuff happening for all Toronto basketball stuff, whether it's the Raptors, the 905, the Tempo, the CBL, Team Canada basketball. We're just going to have a great year on this channel and with our teams. That's what I'm guessing. You guys like I put up the 2 jerseys on the sides here. We got a purple 7. That's that Keon Clark jersey. I promised Seymour right there. And then we got the red 7, which is Bargnani jersey. That's a Andrea Bargnani jersey up there, right there. But 7 is also Kyle Lowry's number, and 7's lucky. And I want to put 7s up there. And we got the Toronto and the Raptors on there. Toronto Raptors. That's right. We the North. Let's go, baby. Some of you say, where's your jerseys, man? Lex, you don't have your jerseys up anymore. Well, there they are. There's 2 of them. Put them up on the wall with the flag. That's right. That's right. Mo's saying this. Good morning, Raptor Free Crew. Terrible loss, so no one deserves stars of the game. I believe they do. And in some ways, you're contradicting yourself, Mo, when you say nobody deserves stars a game, but I'm going to do these stars a game. I think they deserve stars a game. They worked their ass off, but they didn't do it good enough to win. That's the problem. Shaq Lindsay saying, "Is it bad to think that losing games at this point this point of the season is quite constructive for our future?" No, that's not bad at all. In fact, that's the way I'm thinking. We got to think about around Christmas. The Raptors have been shitty around Christmas recently, in recent years. Last year wasn't it that they had two of the worst games of the season against like Memphis and New York right around Christmas last year? Well, we absolutely got trounced and lost by like 30 points to the Memphis Grizzlies. Didn't that happen last Christmas when I was in Atlanta? I think I remember that. I think I remember sitting in the living room in Atlanta with my nephew and my brother and my dad watching the Raptors put out a complete turd on the court against the Grizzlies and also losing to the Knicks right around Christmas, too. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the holidays suck. Maybe the Raptors are not good at holidaying. Trevor said maybe these guys ate too much food, and he might be right. I don't know. I don't know. He might be right. But this is definitely, these kind of things are learning experiences. People can overreact. The things I don't like is like people come down and start saying, trade these guys, fire the coach, fire Bobby. That's not the right reaction to last night. That's not the right reaction. And some people questioning Darko whether he's a good coach or not because of a loss like last night. That's not conducive or constructive. Trust me, he's a good coach, and casuals will take the knives and stick them in the back right now. In some ways, like I said, this is not good for our team to go through coaches like underwear. You want to stick with a guy and ride with him and really let him have a good time, good stretch of time to really get it right and build. Because every time you fire a coach, you fire a GM, you switch out your team in major ways, you're starting over. And in some ways, you got to go through all the stuff you just went through again with the new person. And that's why it's like you want to pick the right ones so you don't keep switching. Because, like I said, every time you do that, you start over. And we don't want to start over. We are making progress in the 3 years of Darko. And we need to continue to make progress with him going in the future with more years. And firing him, telling him to get out of here because you guys are emotionally upset. Anybody in Raptors Nation is not the right move. Just trust me. It's not the right move. It's stupid. In fact, it's some of the dumbest logic in the world. We could have won that with a better coach. You don't know that. There's a spectrum of different coaches that could have been coaching them last night. And who knows how many of the outcomes would have been exactly the same. You don't know this. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Oh, man, if we had Mike Budenholzer as our coach, we would have won that game last night. We don't know that. We don't know that because in some ways he's going to have a whole different relationship with the players, and it may not go the same way. So woulda, coulda, shoulda, stupid. And anybody thinking our coach is bad because we lost the Wizards last night is stupid also. Let's just put it that way. Let's just put it that way. I don't get this. If the people really realistically think about what changing your coach means, you're starting all over. And it's not smart. It's not smart. That's right. Kareem saying this, I'm not going to be mad at anyone, but lack of depth at center. It's Christmas. The Wizards were fucking pissed for us blowing their backs out by 30 the last game. Yeah, I don't even think it's that. I think that these dudes are just really like they want to win. They're hungry. It's just like us last year and the year before when you're only like a 20-win team or a 30-win team, you're trying your ass off. And when you get that daylight to get through and you finally do get a positive win, it feels really good. And that's Wizards fans right now. They're like, wow, we beat the Raptors last night. Wow, our team has got some promise as young players. Wow, it's that kind of stuff. Keyshawn George is a great player, guys. He's on some levels like Scotty. He's very much like Scotty. He's the most steady, consistent Wizard right now, and he's their best player. I know they were pumping up Alex Sarr for All-Star, but man, forget that. Keyshawn George is your franchise player. And he's the dude, if I was a Wizards fan, I would be like, this guy cannot go anywhere. And if I'm a Raptors fan, I'm like, I want you to come play for Toronto at some point. Yeah, Keyshawn, I want you to come home and play for your native country in Canada for the Toronto Raptors at some point. Yeah, and maybe he's too much with Colin and Scotty because they're all similar kind of players. Would it hurt to have a bunch of guys that are kind of on that Scotty range of people? I mean, seriously, man, the dude is awesome. Like I have to give a lot of credit to Keyshawn. He played very mature last night. He was 9 of 13, 3 of 5 from three, 23 points in 28 minutes, 2 of 3 at the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 turnovers, and a block, a plus 16. And if we're going to look at more of them, I mean, CJ McCollum, there's no reason that man should have been scoring points. That was annoying. That man should be washed and halfway to the retirement home. But apparently, we gave him a 20 piece last night, just out of the blue. 31 minutes for CJ, 21 points, 8 of 16 from the field, 3 of 8, 2 of 2, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and a turnover, a plus 8. Bilal Koulibaly, like I said, man, this guy's a really good talent. 8 of 14 from the field, 21 points for him. So there's 3 guys right there with 20 points for the Wizards doing what we should be doing when RJ's healthy, getting 3 20-point scores. Brandon, IQ, and RJ would have gotten 20 points if he played in the game last night. We're missing RJ, guys. We're missing rebounding. We're missing a depth at the center. Yeah, that's all true. That's all true. And 8 rebounds for Bilal also with 3 steals, y'all, and a block. Yeah, this is a good player, man. And then you add in Sar was a defensive force inside, blocking shots and getting rebounds. Well, actually, he only got 3 rebounds, so he wasn't super good at rebounds. But Sar was definitely a force down low that made people have to think about it. There was that one play where he blocked Scotty, and he made Scotty have to think twice about coming down there, even though it was a goaltend and we got the points. So, and then off the bench, you got Bub Carrington coming in and dropping 15 in 22 minutes, 5 of 8 shooting, 4 of 7 from 3. He had hit big shots late. Like him and Koulibaly, it was Keyshawn early to get them going and the good vibes, and then CJ in the middle, and then near the end it was more Koulibaly and Carrington. And those guys really doing some big shots, and they had some real ice in their veins. And in some ways, they wanted that glory, and we didn't get to them well enough. And they hit the shots late when we should have been clamping up. The 905 and the Raptors both like to be like, I've described them as like boa constrictors. It's like in the beginning of the game, maybe we're not playing as intense defense, and maybe that was a mistake last night because they let the Wizards get that good vibrations going. Maybe we should have cinched up on them immediately, because when we get that constrictor around them, just like a boa constrictor, you tighten it up as the game goes on to squeeze the life out of them. And well, that's normally what happens with the 905 and the Raptors sometimes, where we tighten up the defense going into the fourth quarter. It's the most intense that it is. But alas, what happened last night? The Wizards' train didn't slow down. We couldn't stop it. They scored 36 points in the last frame. And meanwhile, we only scored 17, and they separated from us. Instead of us coming over a small margin of like 3 or 5 points, they increased the lead and poured on more American maple syrup. I guess is their American Aunt Jemima or something. I don't know, Miss Butterworth. They poured the Mrs. Butterworths all over us, like with a bigger and bigger lead, getting that good like lead built up, double digit into 20-point lead. So it's tough because we should have cinched up and we should close them off. And that's been the success with Raptors teams, but that effect did not happen. The good vibes for the Wizards and the great offense did not get slowed down. It did not get slowed down. Even Canadian Will Riley came in last night and had his little spots. It doesn't hurt as bad when you're seeing Canadian guys kill us, right? Kashawn and Riley out there, he's very young, only 19, 16 minutes, 8 points, 3 of 7 from the field, 2 rebounds, 2 assists for Will Riley, a plus 6. Yeah, they got contributions from different guys. Trey Johnson, a draft pick from this year, came out there and got 12 points on 4 of 8 shooting. The Wizards as a whole shot 59% from the field last night. They got 15 threes on 45%. Those 2 percentages right there are crazy. Almost 60% from the field and 45% as a team from 3-point range, making 15 threes. That's a barrage. That's excellent shooting by another team. And man, we needed Colin. We needed Jakob. We needed those guys because in some ways they're very good defenders and they could have helped us. I mean, Jakob especially. So yeah, let's not get it twisted. Let's give them some credit. And then you even had our old friend Champagny. He came out there and made winning plays for them in a different way than scoring. And he was taking it to Scott. In some ways, there's a lot of friendly trash talk between the former Raptor rookies that are very close friends, honestly. And Justin, he took it to us. He stole the ball from Grady off of an offensive rebound. He also was very much going at Scotty, and Scotty wanted to go at him. He was backing him down, but Justin showed a very smart veteran kind of presence at his age out there for them. 22 minutes for Justin Champagny, 8 points on 3 of 4 shooting, made both his threes, was 2 for 2 there, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 0 turnovers, a steal and a block, a +10. So he made an impact. We had more Wizards out there making impacts towards winning than Raptors. We had some Raptors doing a good job and carrying Brandon, Emmanuel, Jacoby, Sandro, like 4 or 5 of them, maybe just 4. We could just say 4 of the Raptors really carried, and then like 8 of the Wizards carried in different ways to help their contribute to their team winning. That's part of it right there. As Darko says in interviews, we need all of our guys to contribute for us to be successful. And that's true. That was true last night for sure. All right, let's keep going in the chat here. Let's see. Super fan saying I'm grading Grady's season so far as a D. That's kind of a joke. I think that's funny. I'm grading Grady. That's kind of cool alliteration. And then you're giving him a D also. That's kind of funny considering his last name. All right, we're gonna give you a dunk, Monique, for unintentionally being funny with the whole I'm giving Grady a D for his grade this year. I mean, that's fair, and that's exactly right. Honestly, that's the same grade I'd give him too. Is a D. You're right. And well, Grady, you want to change your grade over the semester? Well, do better on your assignments. And then maybe we can raise your grade up a little bit. Maybe even give you a curve on that. You know what I'm saying? A curve. Well, there's some bad jokes there, Lex. 144 for Monique on the dunk charts, which is running out of time, y'all. The buzzer is running out with the dunk. Let's see if Kareem is enough in his funny bone to muster some dunks today to close the gap that Isaac has made. He's in the lead right now. Isaac is in the lead. And I want to see some competitive dunking once again today on the channel. If Isaac is here, if Kareem is here, Seymour shows up, we can do that. We can do that. Also, you guys know the phone is called open. If you guys do have the number and you really want to talk about things, you can call me on the channel. I'll put you on the air. That's right. Shaq Lindsay saying we are nearing the trade deadline, and this is a great opportunity to see the team and the holes in the roster. We see great contributions from certain players. Nobody should be safe. And I mean, the starters to a degree should be safe. I would say that. But nobody like in the middle in the rotation is safe. And Bobby, just work your magic. Do something good so that you get the favor of the Raptors Nation on you again. They can say, wow, I'm so excited. Some ways, the best way to sate these Raptors fans that are crazy is just give them a nice new shiny bright toy, just like a child. Here you go. Here is Marvin Bagley III in a Raptors jersey. Are y'all happy now? Oh my gosh, Bobby, it's so happy. I was like, we have a new toy on our team. It is really childish, just like that. So, I mean, I'm okay with it. I want to see the new player come in too, because we do need the new player. Trust me, we do need a new player. And Shaq Lindsay's right. We see in all the holes. It helps to understand what we need to do the most. And hopefully, Bobby, I just want Bobby to wake up and do something, man. You're like sleeping or something. I don't know what you're doing, Bobby Webster. We just need something bad. These losses to teams like Charlotte, Washington, and Brooklyn are making people fall out. Seriously. People are falling out, Bobby. You got to give them some sort of reason to believe. These people are in shambles in some ways. I'm not. I'm choosing not to be. But some of these people are in shambles. They're absolutely in shambles. They're just like, oh, they're wrecked. Why are people so wrecked about this? Come on, grow up, people. That's what I'm going to say. Neil's saying this, let them play is not going to work because the rotations are not consistent. Therefore, there is not enough structure. Darko gave up on Mobo too early when they successfully pushed back from down 10-3. Jonathan was weird. He was both good, but also strangely ineffective last night. It was weird. Like, I thought he was playing solid, but he wasn't making any mistakes. But also at the same time, he wasn't making himself a factor. You know? It's weird. Like, he could be a place card and just kinda hold that spot in the rotation in those minutes, but if he's not gonna contribute anything, then what is he doing? Cardio. And there was a little bit of that last night with him in his, 11 minutes. He had 0 points, 0 shots, 0 rebounds, 0 assists. He had 1 steal. That's all he did in 11 minutes on the court. So please forgive Darko for yanking him out of there and not playing him as much in the second half, because in some ways he realized that he wasn't playing exactly right last night. And it's too bad because there was an opportunity for Jonathan to reintroduce himself into the rotation on the Raptors. And in some ways, he didn't take that opportunity and go with it correctly. You know, he was tentative. He was a little shaky. There was a couple balls that were near him at times when he was in the game that he could have just gotten, but mysteriously they just went out of bounds. It's like, dude, the ball's right there. Grab it and let's go. But the ball's right there, and somehow he flubs it or he doesn't get it, and it's out of bounds. And because he touched it, it's a possession for the Wizards. So there was some weird stuff with him there. We'll go over the rest of the guys from last night, including Jonathan's friend Scotty. Scotty was interesting. I think he really was sick. And instead of getting the DMP and missing out on one of the 82 games, he wanted to play because Scotty's like that. He doesn't want to miss games. He is not the kind of person that will miss games with a hangnail. He's not the kind of person that will miss games if he absolutely cannot miss games. He will make it to the games. He has to absolutely be ruled out. And we don't know how well he was feeling last night because in some ways he was sick during the day and he had the same thing as Colin apparently. When we found out on the stream, I was really worried. Honestly, as soon as I heard Scotty could be out yesterday, I was worried we would lose the Wizards. And I made the realm of possibility in my head open to that possibility. Now, not every Raptors fan is going to be on top of the breaking news of the Raptors and availability for players coming to the game, and they're just going to show up. Like Stargate was saying last night, I didn't even know Scotty was possibly in doubt of playing. And I was like, yeah, they announced when on during my show actually yesterday, we broke it on the show saying that Scotty's questionable due to illness. But I had a feeling that he would show up and play because I was telling myself, "Is like, look, if Colin's out and Jakob's already out, the rebounding is going to truly suffer if Scotty's out also." And Scotty probably knew all that himself, thinking about it yesterday. He's like, man, they need me. I got to play. I got to play. But how dehydrated, how sick, how shitty did Scott feel? You know, and once again, the other side scheming for him. Like he's one of the main guys that they're scheming their whole defensive scheme around. And they were somewhat successful at stifling Scotty and frustrating him. 29 minutes for Scott, 14 points on 6 of 14 shooting. He missed both his threes. He was 2 for 2 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, though, 3 turnovers, a minus 29, the worst on the team. So we lost them more when Scotty was out there. Maybe he really was under the weather, and it just came out in a weird way. Even though you know what, we're better off with him on the court, even if he's not 100%. So I don't know. I in some ways, I'm not going to come back and get on Scott for this because I don't know how sick he was and how much it was not absolutely fun for him to play when the way he felt. So we got to give him somewhat of a pass. Abaji, 26 minutes as a starter, 8 points, 4-9 from the field. He missed all 3 of his threes. Once again, that's a difference right there in our team. We got guys who are 0 from 3, and that's Jamison Battle 0 for 3, and also or 0 for 2. And then you got Scotty 0 for 2. You got Oshai 0 for 3. You got Brandon 1 for 7. You got Jamal 2 for 7, and you got Grady 0 for 1. And as I just said, the Wizards shot 45% from 3. We shot 33% from 3. And we made 3 less threes than them. They made 15. We made 12. You know, we make some of these open threes that these guys have, and we're more evened up with them. You know, Oshai 0 for 3. Like I said, this is bad. This is really, really bad. We have open threes that are being missed. Other teams are making their open threes. That's a difference right there. That's a difference right there. Abaji, 3 rebounds, 1 turnover, and 2 steals, a -10. Jamison Battle, 0 points in 10 minutes, 0 for 3 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3, 1 assist, and that's it, a -4. This is everybody was saying, why don't we play Battle more? Why can't we get Battle out there? He would do better and stuff like that. Well, is it true? We don't know. In some ways, it's like, look, he's going to have a bad game sometimes and miss all his shots, just like Grady or Jacoby too. So it's like the simple solutions that you guys think, and even saying AJ Lawson, AJ Lawson. We got to get AJ Lawson out there. He'll change everything. No, we got 7 minutes of AJ Lawson late in the game, and AJ only got 2 points at the free throw line. He missed the only shot that he took. He what 1 rebound and 1 steal, a -7. So these guys aren't just end all quick fix be all solutions to our problems. It's like it's real easy to think, oh, we just play Jameson more. Oh, if AJ gets called up, he can be the hero and just save everything. No, it's not how it works. In some ways, these guys can do things on G League level in certain ways, but it's a whole other harder level on the NBA. And well, I want to see more AJ on the Raptors for sure. And I do feel like he could bust out and maybe do more and more for us going forward. But like last night's an example, these guys aren't just quick, easy answers to fix everything. You know what I'm saying? RJ is, though. I'll say this right now. RJ Barrett will fix a lot of things when he returns. And you know what? I feel like he's going to return tomorrow against the Warriors, guys. He's been upgraded to day, and he's not questionable anymore. He is day to day. And that means he's very close to making his return. And I'm going to predict that RJ Barrett will be playing before New Year's for the Raptors before we get to New Year's Eve. Yeah. And I'm hoping he'll play against the Warriors on Sunday against Golden State. And RJ will make his triumphant return to the Raptors lineup, and we'll see a whole other dimension to our Raptors team all of a sudden because of the steadiness of Rowan Barrett Jr. I'm telling you right now, Jamal Shed has been very disappointing recently. It's like, I don't want to say anything, but these cannonball guys have been shit since they did that Nutcracker play. Like, seriously, both Jamal and Scotty have not played their best since they did the play. And I'm not going to connect it to that, but Jamal's been really bad in the weeks since getting on stage and being a clown. 19 minutes, 6 points, 2 of 8 from the field, 2 of 7 from 3, 4 assists, 1 turnover, a -27, which is the second worst plus minus on the court. Shed in some ways is forcing too much in certain places. And also at times, like there was one play where he got in the lane and he should have just shot it himself with a little teardrop, but he dumped it off to Jonathan, and Jonathan bumbled the ball and turned it over. Shed, you had the shot open and you should have just shot it yourself. This is still happening too often. Decision making on this team isn't exactly right still. And these guys need to be a little bit more intelligent with their decisions, and they can't be half-assing things too, because there's still the problems with like forcing plays to people when the defense knows what you're doing and they're playing you very tough, and you're still trying to force the ball through that one play that you're trying to do where there's options around plan B, plan C, plan D that are absolutely the better way to go to get the score. But you guys have your heart set on feeding this one person who's double teamed and covered up real tough, and you still want to fucking force the ball on the offense that way. It's stupid, man. Why do y'all do this? Go to the, some people say don't go the path of least resistance. Well, on the basketball court, you should, because taking it to them like a DeMar DeRozan would when he was young in the 2010s, and he would go at doubles and triple teams. That's the hard way to do it. And in some ways, it made DeRozan better over the years, but in some ways, it's annoying because there's easier ways to do this. And in some ways, easier is better because you're not having to take the physical receipt. You're not having to have the high percentage chance of a turnover because you're going in the hornet's nest of players. We're not playing Charlotte, but I'm just saying the buzz around, people are all around in that hive and they're trying to stop you, and you go right into where the defenders are located. Why can't we relocate to other parts of the court where we got Jamison Battle hiding in the corner and nobody's near him? Give him the shot. Why do we have to force it to one of our main players just because that's the play call? Why can't we have play C and play D and the hierarchy of making decisions, because this is closed off and this isn't the right place to put the ball, because it's very likely it's not going to be a converted. It could be a turnover, or this guy is not going to be able to make the shot, and the refs aren't going to bail us out with a foul call, even if they do foul us. And it's just the ball goes the other way, and the Wizards are on their way the other way down the court. Like, where is this decision making? Where is this kind of level of thinking on the Raptors' offensive schemes to discern what is the best decision at this moment? And some of it is selfish. Unselfishness can go so far, and it works with the ball movement and trying that. But you need to recognize when you have the best opportunity to make the shot yourself and elevate and shoot it. And there's too much of this. I'm going to get to the center of the lane. I'm actually in the best spot to shoot it and elevate and shoot this. And I'm talking about Scotty. I'm talking about IQ. I'm talking about Brandon. I'm talking about Scotty. I'm talking about all those guys, Jamal. Too much of this. I'll get to really good paint position, and I actually have nobody really close to me. I could elevate and shoot it, but I'm going to dump it off the guy next to the basket, or I'm going to pass it out to the guy outside for three. No, recognize when you have the shot and take it seriously, especially if it's a high percentage shot right in the middle of the lane. So I don't get this decision making sometimes. It annoys me. It annoys me. Garrett Temple, 4-minute cameo at the end of the game, missed a shot, got an assist and 2 turnovers and a steal, a -1. AJ Lawson, 2 points in 7 minutes, made that at the free throw line, 1 rebound, 1 steal, a -7. Yeah, and that's pretty much the guys from last night. That's the stat sheet for the Raptors on the box score. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah. All right, let's see. Neil saying let them play is not going to work because the rotations are not consistent. Therefore, there's not enough structure. Darko gave up on Mobo. Oh, yeah, I already read that. Read that one. G saying this, I'm starting to think you can have the better talent, but if a team is bigger and you don't have a center, it's almost going to always be an automatic loss. There's no hard and fast rule to this. I mean, you can find a way to do it if there's always, it's different every night. That's why they always say we have to find different ways to win on any given night. And that's why you want to have most of your team healthy. You need your biggest player. You need your hometown hero, because it gives you more options to figure out the puzzle that's presented in front of you by the other team and the parameters of what the game is for that night. If you don't have all your weapons, if you don't have your best big man, rebounder, and defender, it's going to be a lot harder, because then you have to, because part of it is like, they can play Scotty and Jonathan as the 4 and the 5 like they did last night. But in some ways, it's a very cooperative defense that has to really look out for each other, instead of just saying, yeah, we're going to put Yak out there and he can just do this by himself solely. In some ways, Scotty and Jonathan have to hedge for each other in different ways a little bit more to make up for a size difference with guys like Sar and Bagley. And that in some ways that means that there's more on their plate, not just the guy they have to guard, but they also have to think about help a lot. So it's peace of mind. You just have Yak out there, you just put him on the big man, and then there's not as much hedging or having to rush with help. And that changes a lot with the rotations on defense, and as far as how you can cover guys maybe one-on-one or in zone. So, man, it's tough. It's tough. There's no hard, fast rule to this, G. And you could say, yeah, the talent will beat size. Size will beat talent. There's no hard, fast rule. And it depends on really, other characteristics and things also. Let's see. Fiercely saying this, morning fam and happy Saturday. Missed the game as I am still hosting my family. I looked at the box score and noticed BI and IQ had good offensive nights. And thanks to Monique's write-up, I saw Jacoby was also great on the defensive end. And Mamu also reached a milestone. Like Lex said, it's part of the process. We will learn. It's a long journey, and not every step in the journey is going to be pleasant or a win. And, well, it's just part of the journey. I just think that, once again, people that are getting upset just because of losses to Charlotte, Brooklyn, and Washington because of the history and them looking at them as bad teams that should always be beaten are not deeply looking at this in the way that they should, because I'm telling you, this parity league is a big, huge factor in this. And these teams need to get better, because that's what the NBA wants. They're sick of tanking. They're talking about this a lot in the news right now. And, well, these teams don't want to be accused of being tankers, right? So they have to try and get better and better. to compete because Adam Silver is anti-tanking and he's going to penalize teams that look like they're not trying. So these teams better be trying, right? That's part of it, right? That's it right there, right? There was a positive update on RJ. Yeah, the positive update is day to day, and he's very close to returning. That's for sure. Yeah, Neil saying this: Scotty was in Giannis mode from one end of the court to the other. Very interesting. Scotty was weird, man. In some ways, he was powerful. There were times when he attacked the rim and he made it happen no matter what. But then there's also the times where he just faded away in the second half and he didn't do enough to help us in ways. It's like Brandon was trying to do stuff late, IQ was trying to do stuff late, but where was Scotty? And what was he making an impact on later in the game in the second half? Sure, he looked good early. He looked powerful early, but he faded away once again. And there's a big section of the game where Scotty did not participate in winning ways or as a dominant way in the way he could have. He really wanted to post Justin Champagny a lot. He was posting him a lot, and he wanted to go at Justin. That's for sure. That's right. Let's see. Fiercely saying, remember our record last year at the same month. We definitely improved. Let's be positive and supportive. Yeah, yeah. Let's look at the benchmarks. Like Spurs Nation is on cloud nine. I've seen Spurs fans put their records out for the last 3 years and the improvements, and they're ecstatic. We are in the same boat. We're not that far off from the Spurs also. In some ways, the Spurs have a better record and maybe bigger gains from lower levels of worseness, before. But, we have the same story in the years of Darko, where we had this many wins this first year, this many wins this second year, and look where we are this year. So let's keep the perspective of the journey once again and look at the whole big scheme of it instead of just the compartmentalized one loss against the Wizards last night. And Fiercey's exactly right. In fact, I'm going to give her a dunk for bringing it up. Where were we at this time last year, Raptors fans? And stop holding your head because honestly, look, we are in way better shape in this season and above 500, and we're the fourth seed in the Eastern Conference right now. So come on now, seriously. I know nobody likes losing, and sure, you can get all bent out of shape because it was the Wizards, but what's the point? What's the point? That's right. Neil's saying Mamu is looking solid the more he is with the team. Yeah, he's getting more and more comfortable. They're getting to know each other better and better. And he's just a baller. He's out there putting it all out on the court. He expends a lot of energy, and he's such a useful player. He's been such a value pickup and just such a fantastic addition to our team. In some ways, people can talk about Bobby Webster in negative ways. We'll talk about him in good ways too. And talk about him getting Sandro signed to this contract and being on our team this year and how much of a home run that is. Seriously. Give him his credit where he gets credit. If you're going to come around and tear him down in other ways, you better give him credit where he needs credit too. That's what I'm saying right there. That's right. Most saying 62 points in the paint for the Wizards. Yeah, that's a crime. That is not good. And let's go do the team stats real quick. Autopsy on the corpse of the Raptors from last night. Like I said about the shooting percentage, that's huge. That's basic basketball, right? You shoot better than the other team, you win, right? And that's what happened. 59% for them, 44% from the field for us as a team. They shot 45% from three. We shot 33% from three. Those two categories right there won the game for them, along with the rebounds. We shot better at the free throw line, 93%. And even the refs, you can't say they were against us. We got 9 more free throw attempts than the other side. We were getting the superstar calls for Brandon Ingram. They were showing more respect for Scotty even and putting some superstar calls on Scott last night. So you can't say anything about Goebel and Forte and who was the third ref? It was Conley, I think. No, it was I don't even remember. Who cares? You can't say anything about the ref crew. The ref crew was absolutely. Oh, Callio. It was Callio. It was our Canadian guy. In fact, he gave us a call at one point. Matt Callio was awesome to us. That one play with Mamu, where he was rebounding with I think it was Carrington, and Carrington got underneath him, and Mamu went over his back. Honestly, but Carrington was in such a weird lurch position down that the way that Mamu was draped over his back and how he so cleanly had the basketball, it looked like Carrington was undercutting him. And that's how Callio was able to call that a foul on the Wizards instead of us. Now, I think that if the Wizards had challenged that and took that to a challenge, they might have gotten that overturned. but we got the ball real quick, inbounded, and we kept the ball. That was looking out. That was Matt Callio from Edmonton looking out for the Raptors and giving the benefit of the doubt to a hustle play by Mamu, because seriously, that could have been over in the back. That could have been over the back very easily. So we can't say the refs were against us last night. It's just that the Wizards shot really well, really, really well. They out rebounded us 46-33. Assist to turnover ratio. Let's see how the health of that was. Very similar. 26 assists for us, 26 assists for them, 11 turnovers for us, 14 turnovers for them. So we did win the assist to turnover battle, but not by a whole lot, really. Not by a whole lot. We did get 10 steals, which is great. Fast break points, they got 21 and we got only 10. So they beat us at our own game. In fact, that was something that the announcers for the Wizards were going on about. Drew Gooden's going on about how the Raptors are the best fast break team in the league and that we need to beat them in that department. And they did. By the end of the game, that was part of the key to success is they got up and down the court faster than us, and they had us on our heels more than we had them on their heels. And that hurt. That hurt. Points in the paint, as Monique said, 62 points in the paint. That is a lack of a yak right there. You ain't letting them get none of that with Jakob Poeltl healthy out there getting in the way. 44 in the paint for us. It's tough. It's a tough game, man. It's a tough game. Kudos to the Wizards for playing very well and making the shots. That's right. That's right. G's saying this. I'm not going to overreact. The roster needs some balancing out. I'm not a trade person, but at this point, clearly the roster needs tweaking, and that's okay. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair to say. Once again, when we get RJ back, starting tomorrow, hopefully, we're going to see a big difference with how this team runs and way it plays. Trust me. In some ways, he's at heart and soul of getting after it. He's a leader in that way. And if we're thinking the guys have been lazy and they haven't been getting after it like they should, well, reinforcements will come when Rowan shows up and he puts that infusion of like, I'm doing this for my city, and guys, I'm going to go all out. And you know RJ plays like that, and it's infectious. In some ways, that's been missing while he's been absent, is that extra push of energy as far as like RJ is just like that. So that'll help. That'll be a breath of fresh air, and it'll be a helpful, very, very helpful energy added back into the mix. And of course, if Yak is available, our winning record is way better when he plays. Way, way better when he plays. That's for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Kareem's saying this. My only gripe is that Darko knows Lawson is a spark plug. Why not give him the whole minutes in the second half? 7 minutes isn't saying a whole lot. I don't know. I mean, I would like that too. I would like him to kind of, I think he wants to give all of them a chance. And if they show things, then he'll leave them in. And he did leave AJ in for a bit. I thought he was just going to put him in for a couple minutes and yank him out. But he did actually let him stay in for 7 minutes straight. And or then he came in at the end, actually. He wasn't in for 7 minutes straight. He had 2 stints. I don't know, man. In some ways, once again, we don't know everything about the hierarchy of the Raptors and practice and what they're trying to do. And I wish we knew better and it made more sense, because then it would be easier for me to explain it to people in a way that is supportive of Darko and what he's doing. But I don't think that AJ, like I said, AJ didn't come out and make a difference right away. He was out there playing hard and he was playing active, but did he make a difference? Not really. He didn't have a difference in the game. And it wasn't like he busted out and made some steals or hit a three. But he did get some time out there. It's tough. The NBA is different than the G League. And some of the stuff he does on the G League level is not totally going to happen on the NBA level. As much as we think, oh, he can just be a spark plug and he can do this because he does it on 905, it's not necessarily it's easy that it applies to the NBA. I would say that. UC's here. Good to see UC. Good morning, Raptors gang. I am not so surprised that we got destroyed when I wanted us to do it. Like I said, if we have guys sick and guys are missing and we're not absolutely our best, and once again, I'll give credit to the Wizards. They did a really good job last night. In some ways, it's like not even about us. I think that that's something we got to start saying sometimes. It's like, dude, this other team we played, they played really, really at a high level, and they wanted it more than us. And that's what that was last night. Randolph saying, Lex and fellow Raptor Freaks family, blessings. The sky is the limit. So aim higher and keep on soaring. The best is yet to come. So continue pressing on. Exactly. Exactly. The best is yet to come for these Raptors. And the sky's the limit. We can be a better team more and more as time goes on. Brandon says we're not where we're supposed to be yet. He said that in the interview after the game. He said we're not happy with where we are yet. We're a work in progress, and we're continuing to strive to be better and better. Sky's the limit. Blessings to the Phillips family, all the Raptor Freak families out there. That's right. Shaq Lindsay saying, while others not so much, scouting is so important to find the right players to bolster our roster. As fans, we want quick fixes like getting a Nick Richards, Sharp, or AD, but it's a lot more complicated. Yeah, it's very complicated. Sandro's fit really well, like a glove, with our team, and you want to get the next guy to be like that. And it's not just you want them to be productive and help you on the court; they have to be a good citizen that doesn't upset the chemistry of the team. Like as far as like look at Chris Paul with the Clippers, or look at Jimmy Butler in Miami last year. You got to be careful because when you're adding new people to the mix, they do add their personality and it can change things. And as much as people say, oh, this person would just solve things, well, Bobby's thinking about deeper things than just basketball. When he's adding people, he's thinking about how will they work with the coaches, how will they work with the players we have that are important already on our team, and what will they actually be able to do to help our team in their skill set that they have already. And personality mix can be a problem. You don't want to bring the wrong person in who's a knucklehead, even if they're more talented than other people, because they could absolutely be disruptive in the environment and the inside because of who they are. So it's like there's a lot more to this. It's not just a trade machine on ESPN. There's so many other factors you got to figure in. And the other thing is you got to want to have a guy who's coming here seriously and may actually want a long-term goal of playing for us. You don't want to get a rental like Kawhi. You could get a quick rental and say, "Yeah, we'll get you for a little while." And they're like never really hard as not being in Toronto. And then all of a sudden you got this guy, he came and he helped you for a little while, but the first chance they're piecing out. In some ways you want to build for the future and get somebody that if they work out really well that you can invest in and they'll stick around. Does that make sense? There's so many other factors than just saying, "Oh, Nick Richards, he'll fix it." There's so many other factors. So many other factors. Yeah, Stargate, I see you're here. If you want to call me, man, you can. Shaq Lindsay saying this. Certainly, we need a backup big, but there are other holes that need to be addressed. A lot of the other stuff with the Raptors that they need to address is just being young and dumb. It's just like grow up and play more mature basketball and stop making stupid mistakes and tighten up. There's just certain protocols and rules that they should be running in their heads as this is a sin. I should never do this. This is what I should do always in this situation. Because some of this stuff is just basic basketball fundamental like rules that you should do this better. And if you do it this way, you do it the right way, you'll have better outcomes because you're doing it too loose. You're doing it too casual. You're doing it too LaMelo ballish. In some ways, that's part of the problem. The Raptors are playing too much like LaMelo Ball as an individual, and they got to tighten up. Stop the showboating. Scotty, I know you love to do no look passes, but those are dangerous, and they only work when they absolutely catch them and they're successful. But otherwise, you guys can be flashy. Guys can do goofy shit, but in some ways, it's like, why? There's often times where you guys get a fast break and you should get an inside shot, but you're throwing it out to the outside guy to take a three. That's horrible basketball logic. You got the ball nearby. You can take the two or you're going to go for three. Well, our team is not a good 3-point shooting team right now. So maybe that's not the best decision in our current state to pass up an easy two that's money in the bank for a guy who's taking a three outside when you already got near the basket. You could have just made that two, but you see a guy in the corner, you throw it out to him and he misses the three and you don't get nothing. It's just dumb stuff like that. It's just tightening up your mental game and your decision making and cutting down on turnovers and being smarter with the ball and making better offensive decisions. That's a lot of it right there, other than what we're talking about right now, Shaq Lindsay. That's right. That's a lot of it right there. Neil saying the reason I say go back to Mobo is because Wiz young players were shooting over IQ, Jamal and Oshai. Wiz shooting was off against Mobo unless he was defending it. Therefore, we had a size issue. That may be true. That may be true what Neil's saying. They have a lot of taller players at guard on the other side. And maybe the smaller guards on our team did get shot over. That could be very true, what he's saying here. Mo's saying, keep voting regardless of the thoughts of the game. B.I. and Scott. Yeah, don't punish the guys for losing the Wizards. Say, I'm not going to vote for All-Star today, and help Scotty and B.I. try and get there. The Wizards broadcast said very much that Brandon Ingram is an All-Star. They said that last night. They said, this guy's an All-Star talent. This guy's an All-Star talent. So vote for Brandon. Vote for Scotty. Keep voting an All-Star. Don't punish them. Neil's saying this. The Wiz weren't attacking Mobo as well. Well, I mean, I don't know. In some ways, Mobo's been playing a lot of games. I don't know. Is he available for the main Celtics game today? Did he come right back to Toronto? Yeah, these guys did, because they're about to be on a homestand here, and they're going to be playing in Toronto right through into New Year's. So I don't know. Maybe Jonathan in some ways was saved a little bit because maybe Andrew Jones is playing him tonight in Mississauga. I don't know. We don't know all the inner workings and stuff. And like I said, it looked like Jonathan was just running cardio last night. In some ways, you're right. He may have been a better defender in some ways, but also at the same time, he was not making himself a factor in certain ways too. So G saying no Yak, no RJ, no CMB, strength, length, and some dog missing. Exactly. There's a lot in those players that you just listed there. Nako's saying, I like Deron Sharp. I like Gafford. RJ needs to be back. Two of Battle, Dick, Oshai, Jacoby need to stay. Two of them. You're the GM. You're making the rules. You call him Bobby. Only two of them getting to stay. It's Survivor. Vote them off the island. Oh, yeah. No CMB is a problem. That guy's one of the most important role players. Yeah, he could have helped a lot last night. Yeah, not having him. And I wonder if Colin noticed that. He's like, man, watching the game, because he wasn't on the bench. He's really sick. And he was a late scratch. Like they were saying he was going to play. And then all of a sudden they reverted it back to saying he wasn't going to play. And, well, he probably watched the game. He's like, man, I could have helped them. Man, he could be like that today. He could be like, man, I feel bad because if I'd been out there, maybe I could have helped the Raptors win. Yeah, you should be thinking that, Colin. And you should be taking care of your body, drink lots of fluids, get rest, and stay healthy so you're available. That's what I'm saying, man. We need you, my guy. We need you. That's right. Shaq saying not having Jakob and RJ out there clearly is hurting offense and defense production. There are things that Jakob does that just getting another backup big isn't going to help. There's things that RJ does that we need also back for sure. Yeah, that's why we need the depth. We need somebody similar to Yak that can kind of provide some of this stuff, but he's not going to be the same level as Yak, but it's just as long as he does some of it. That's all that matters. Stargate saying Mobo just out of sync because he hasn't played with the big team for a while. That's all. He would just need more time with those guys again to get back in sync. Yeah, that may be part of it. That could be part of it. I don't know. I think that he was a little nervous because he was just coming back into this, and he doesn't want to mess these chances up. AJ, same kind of thing. It's like these guys know the chances to come and play for the Raptors are not all the time. And when they do get those chances, maybe there's a little bit more extra nervous energy because they really want to be as perfect as possible because they see that's the door walking in and they want to get that door to stay open and stay in that room. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that. Cream saying, as long as we keep falling forward, that's the right words right there. We're falling today, but we're going to continue to fall forward as far as our record will be a more winning record than losing record. Every loss should be a teaching lesson. Any team can got any day during the week. It happens in the NFL every week. Exactly. That's the nature of sports. That's why winning is so hard. To have a standard of winning like the 905 have had is absolutely stupendous and crazy and amazing. It's very rare and very tough to do. 905 are so special, and I hope you'll watch them later on with me today. Yeah. It's just a part of the journey. Once again, I'll just get back to my main point. It's just a part of the journey that you have to do to get to winning. Giannis will tell you that. That's right. Giannis will tell you that for sure. All right, let's see. Where am I in the chat? It jumped ahead a little bit here. Where are we? Holy crap. Oh, I got a super chat. That's awesome. Okay. Neil saying 905 doesn't have Lawson and Mobo. Will be interesting to see how they handle it. We've done a pretty good job against Maine. Maine gave us a little bit of scare, I think, in the last game, but we handled them okay. Yeah, we want to stay perfect, and Maine wants to beat us. They've lost to us twice now, and they were one of the better teams in the G League so far because they were in the Winter Showcase 8. So they were one of the top 8 teams in the G League that got in the tournament like us. So they are dangerous. They're one of the better G League teams that we'll face this year. So we need to take this very seriously. At least we'll have the home court of Paramount Fine Food Center and the great crowd down there, including our good friend Guardian Transit. So we'll have a good crowd down there, and hopefully they'll get loud and they'll cheer their on to victory. If Lawson and Mobile are not there, they could very well be there though, because those guys get on the plane and come back from Washington to Toronto. Could very well be that they are available tonight. So don't count them out, Neil. You may see AJ and Jonathan playing for the Mississauga team tonight. Stargate saying Jacoby is just going through that sophomore slump thing. A lot of 2-year players go through it. He'll be fine. Saw shades of last year's type of play in last night's game. Exactly. We saw more poise and patience, and the pump fakes are awesome. In some ways, that's such an underrated skill that it's just not prevalent in the NBA anymore. Nobody does this shit anymore. It's like it's so goofy how the game has changed over time, and there's so many winning things that old school did that could still be done in the NBA today that for some reason we're not training people how to do when they come to the NBA at this point. I blame prep, skills oriented kind of like training and not giving like really basic basketball historical fundamentals that absolutely will help a player be absolutely better than all the modern players around if they adhere to them. Because there is stuff that new players are not getting trained in, and it's to me it's mystifying. It's like you guys are dedicating your lives to try and become NBA players. You want to be the absolute best you can be. You better start the building blocks from like the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, and the 2000s of the NBA's history and what worked for the people before you. In some ways, it's not just about knowing the NBA 75 greatest. You should go learn their stories and understand how these men were able to be successful in the league before you, because some of their characteristics and their abilities and their skills are useful to you today if you could learn them and do them now. And there, you know what, this could be the difference between you being an all-star or you being a long-term NBA player, because you get this and you see this and you're fundamentally doing some of this stuff that none of your people that are around you at your age are doing. Because I don't know why these is just a disconnect, and people are not learning how to play basketball correctly anymore. Well, why, if you do learn it? I mean, in some ways, Scotty's the epitome of this. Scotty has learned how to play basketball correctly in a lot of the old school senses, and that's served him very well as to being the stature he is at this point. I don't know. This isn't like a Colonel's secret recipe for the fried chicken, y'all. This is easy. If you do this, young players, you'll be better. So know your history. Don't be all like, I'm new generation. This is just how it is. We're talented. They're all plumbers. I don't have nothing I can learn from anybody from the 80s or the 90s. Bullshit. You learn something from those players, and you'll be better in this era because you learned it. Trust me. And too many of these young players are not taking the easy lessons that have been learned from the past and knowing this is how you win in the league. You can learn something from Tim Duncan. You can learn something from Charles Barkley. You can learn something from Bill Russell. So go study these guys and understand what made them great, and maybe try and mimic them in some ways, and understand what they found was sacred and what was important as far as respecting the game and playing the game correctly. Too much showboating, too much LaMelo Ball shit, and not enough fundamentals like John Stockton. You know what I'm saying? There's a bit of this going on in what's happening in today's game. And if I was a young player in the NBA, I want to game every advantage I could have in this league, go study the history and mimic some of the things that winning people did before you. That's what I would say right there. That's what I'd say right there. That's right. Randolph saying, Lex, as fans, we have a right to have high expectations for the product we spend our money on. They exist for, and because we spend our on merchandise, attend and watch games, they know our opinion matters. Yeah, but is it informed? That's the part of the problem. There's a lot of people with opinions out there about Raptors and Raptors Nation, but they are not people that are qualified. to make their opinions so ostentatiously loud and so out there. That's the problem. You got a lot of people that don't know what the fuck they're talking about out their ass, and they should shut the fuck up. That's part of it right there, Randolph. All due respect. That's part of it right there. And I don't like this argument either. It's like, yeah, you know what? We pay for the tickets, we pay for the merchandise, we support the team. It's okay for us to have high expectations and standards. Yeah, I don't totally like that. I don't think that's exactly right. I don't think that's exactly right. I think that in some ways it's not about the outcome, it's about the action. It's about being able to have that in the first place. There's no guarantees in sports. There's no guarantee that you'll be a 900 team, 800 team, a 700 team, a 600 team. You could be a 200 team. You could be a 300 team. And in some ways, once again, I'll get to the fact that, you know what? In a lot of ways, we should just be thankful we have a team in the NBA in Toronto. Seriously, we could start with basic gratitude on this. Forget about, oh, you guys, they should be winning way more. That we should expect way more. Yeah, okay, but also at the same time, we should get the basement floor of it that we should just be happy we're in the NBA. You know, there's different levels of this as far as, and I just don't like entitled Raptors fans. They like they're entitled to this and entitled to that. We're not entitled to jack shit. We just hope and pray that our team plays better and better and we have more success. The entitlement of Leafs Nation bleeds over into Raptors Nation in ugly ways. And in some ways, like I said, you know what? Let's do this like our real life. Let's have gratitude and stop acting so spoiled. You know what I'm saying? That's what I have to say about this. It's like, let's just have gratitude. Let's just have the basic baseline of gratitude and thankfulness. Thank you for a roof over my head. Thank you for clothes on my back. Thank you for food on the table. Thank you for an NBA team. Thank you for Scotty Barnes. Thank you for Bobby Webster. Thank you for Darko Rajakovic. And everything other than that, it's like, look, it's just a game. Teams are going to win and lose. And once again, I'll get back to my original point. It's up to you how you want to react to it. It's all solely yours. And you go ahead. If you want to do that, go ahead. It can be toxic. If you want to be more mature and emotionally intelligent about it, you can do that also. There's different levels of this. That's what I'm saying. Stargate saying all this is just proving how important Yak and RJ are to the team and how nonsensical and ludicrous it is to want these specific players traded. Madness. Yeah. 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 And you see why our enemies infiltrate our social media spaces and say, trade RJ, trade Jakob, because they want us to be worse and worse. And it's very apparent when they're absent, we are worse. So why wouldn't Knicks and Celtics and Sixers fans really, really turn up the noise? Y'all need to trade Jakob. We should trade Jakob because he's always hurt. We should trade RJ. Yeah, why? Why do you want to trade RJ? Just because we want to trade him. That's what I'm saying. You know, you can see it. Raptors champs is here. Good to see Raptors champs. Good morning, Raptor freaks and champs. Another effortless loss. I don't know if there's effortless. Just the other team played better than us. I need effort. Effort makes you a champ, win or lose. I mean, there was some good effort at times. Grady showed good effort at times. I don't know, man. It's not like they were out there sleepwalking like Sunday against Brooklyn. They were definitely sleepwalking that game, and they had a good reason. This game was different. Like I try to say, my whole angle on this one is let's praise the Wizards for playing above and beyond and having one of their best games of the season. It's just that we so happen to hit them on the biorhythm of like, wow, they're on an upswing and they're feeling real good, and they had a really good night. They were feeling it. So that's part of it. You think the Wizards are going to shoot that well on most games and most nights? No. We just happened to catch them on a really hot night where they couldn't miss. And that's part of it right there. I don't know if it was bad effort, Raptors champs. Honestly, I feel like they played them pretty well. It's just that they were that good shooting wise. And they were zoned in, and they made the best of their open shots because they made them. And we didn't make our open shots. That's a difference right there. Fiercey's got BI and IQ on blast. I like that. Stargate saying Mamu is genius signing, plain and simple. Yeah, give Bobby his credit where credit is due. Y'all gonna come and deride him and say all this stuff about him, Raptors Nation, when you could just be like, well, let's look at some of his wins too. You don't want to declare that a win? Getting Sandro Mamukelashvili on this team this year? That's a win. That's a home run right there. That could be one of the best signings this offseason. Seriously. And it's the only one he did, really. So that's kind of really interesting. The percentage of getting a successful move this summer, and look at who he drafted this summer. It's Colin Murray Boyles. Looks like a great draft pick. So it's like, and then the move that we got Brandon finally, that's paying off too. So the 3 new guys we got have been hits, home runs. Brandon's healthy. He comes in place. He's exactly what we hoped. He's all-star caliber. He's helping to carry the team. That's a win for the front office, from Masai before and Bobby now. That's a win for the front office. Colin Murray Boyles is a fantastic rookie. That's a win for the front office. Sandro Mamu is a value pickup. So, all right, let's talk down the front office, say they're washed and they're shitty. Hello. They added 3 great players to our team this year that are absolutely contributing in major ways for us this year, and they have been difference makers. So I was like, hello, can you not see this? Raptors detractors, when you talk about Bobby Webster. Monique's saying this, J-Mo needs to be aggressive with the big club when he's down with us. I now see why J-Mo's with the 905 more and more. It's just to get time, because there's no time on the Raptors. There's no time. It's too busy up there. There's too many guys that can play, and he just to get time. It's just to get time, to get him to keep playing, to do what we wanted to do with Cabaco before when we had him, but we couldn't. You know, Bruno sat on the bench and did have 905, and he wasted away, and he suffered for it. In some ways, we don't want to do that with Jonathan. Just let him waste away on the bench on the Raptors and barely play ever. No, you send him to 905, and he continues to get time, and he continues to develop. It's just that. It's as simply as that. Yeah, Fiercely saying, Lex, who do you think should be part of the Rising Stars Challenge, the All-Stars this year? I call Shed and Walter. We already talked about this. I think we did this a couple days ago. Didn't you ask me this question already this week? Like, seriously, I feel like you asked me this question. If it wasn't you, somebody else did. I'm very much on the record saying that Colin Murray Boyles needs to be in that game as a rookie. He's the main one who will get in that game. And I don't think Walter will make that game. No, Jacoby is not going to make that game. He has not been consistent enough. And sadly, it looks like Shed's not consistent enough at this point because he's fallen off in the last couple weeks. So the only representative I think is going to that game is our rookie, Colin Murray Boyles, right now. Now, Shed could have had a chance if he picks it up and plays way better in the next month, maybe. But Walter's not making this game. Collins should make this game. He absolutely should make this game as one of the rookies. And Shed has an outside chance as a sophomore. But no, Walter won't make it. Walter won't make it unless he really turns it on in an amazing, outstanding way that gets heads to turn. Shed's gotten notoriety, but his stats are shitty right now. And he's not shooting well enough right now to make that. So I say it's Murray Boyles. He's the one who'll be in the Rising Stars Challenge. And he deserves it. He should be there. It'd be a bad omission if he's not. It would be, yeah. Stargate saying Sandro is at least trying out there. Yeah, he's trying. They're trying. They're working. Saying that there's no effort from them is not true. Is not true. The effort there was effort there, but it wasn't enough effort or enough winning effort or enough winning things to win. But they weren't dogging it. They were actually trying out there last night. They were. Shaq Lindsay saying, so it's important for Bobby to get a player that complements the players we have on our team and can plug more than one hole in our roster. Maybe. I mean, we want some versatility in this big, as far as like he may have 2 aspects to him that are helpful in 2 different ways. Obviously, the rebounding and defense are the most important, but if he can hit threes also, something like that, does that make sense? Shaq Lindsay saying, so we need to stop screaming for a quick fix and getting a backup big. It's a lot more complicated than that because there is a lot more holes on our roster than we think. That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I like this. All right. This is a great comment by Too Quick Grim. Good morning and welcome to the channel. Thank you for the super chat. Nothing wrong with the Raptors. Year 2 of a rebuild. Yeah. And I see that 3 people like that already. I like it too. This is seeing the whole journey. This is seeing the forest for the trees. This is seeing the big picture and not just falling out over one outcome, one result, one night out of 82. And you know what? Once again, I want to give credit to the Wizards. Good job. Y'all don't have a lot to celebrate in Washington very often over the years. But in some ways, look, there's some real good signs of life that your team may be going towards more winning in the future than they have in the past. That's what I'll say right there. Too Quick Grim, man. Once again, thank you. Thank you for the subscription. Thank you for the super chat. And thank you for your participation. I hope you'll continue to come back to the channel and participate in the future. Common Crazy's here. Good to see Common Crazy. No swearing Saturday. I think I already swore a little bit. I apologize. FCC, don't get mad at me. Yikes. Mamu will use his player option. Yeah, that's probably for sure. In fact, I talked to Alessandro about this. Mamu's best friend who was in town when I went to the game on Mr. Ingram's ticket. I sat in the friends and family section for the players, right next to Brandon's friends and family, Quickly's family. The Sheds were there. The Walters were there. Colin Murray Boyle's brother, who was in that open gym episode, and his mom were there. And I was sitting next to Alessandro from Italy, who's a childhood friend of Sandro Mamukalishvili. And I asked him, I was like, you think that he's going to take his player option next summer? And I was like, look, I understand this guy's got to get money when he can and stuff like that. The only thing I was saying to Alessandro on behalf of the Raptors is I hope he really values being in Toronto and that he'll work with the front office next summer when he probably opts out. He probably opts out because he is worth more than the money he's paid this year, for sure. For sure. And Bobby should be fair to him. But also at the same time, there's a whole aspect of it that's like, look, Toronto's giving you a chance differently than anybody else is so far in the NBA. And where do you reward that? And where do you, because once again, the NBA is a fickle thing. It's not like, oh, now that he's got this level, it just transfers to all 30 of the NBA teams. So in some ways, it's like, sure, he may be worth more next year because eyes are opened up and they see the value in him, and maybe he can get more money somewhere else. But would it be as good a fit? Would it be the ecosystem where he could be where he's at? You can ask Chris Boucher right now. Was it better to leave Toronto and go to Boston? Well, he didn't have a choice in it. And now he goes to Boston, and things are even worse in Boston than they were in Toronto the last 2 years. So it's like, Sandro, you could go get more money, sure, next summer, but will it be a better fit wherever you go? And will you take a little bit less money to stay in Toronto because you like it here and things are working real well with it here? That's what you got to see. And in some ways, I would think, is it going to be the money or is it going to be the fit and being like, I like what we're building here and I want to continue to be a part of it? These are all going to be factors in these decisions next summer with Sandro Mamukelashvili. These are going to be parts of it right here. That's right. That's right. Neil's saying this. Mamu is a little reckless with his fouls. 2 of them were unnecessary, which is what he needs to work on. Sure. That's a symptom of a young team. There's a lot of unnecessary fouls that happen out there. Some of this stuff that happens with fouling three-point shooters, absolutely dumb. I hate this, and some of it's manipulative. We've seen Norman Powell recently, and the way he jumps into people on the three-point shot, he's trying to get those 3 free throws, and he will draw a lot of fouls that way. So it's really tough to guard the 3 in some ways because it's so risky, because you'll give up 3-point shots, and then there's all kinds of crazy shit like not letting them land. And all of a sudden it's a flagrant foul because you got underneath them or they kick out their legs. It's tough because you want to be enough up on them and pressuring them that they don't have enough room to make the shot clean, but you also don't want to foul them. So there's a really fine line of balance guarding 3-point in the NBA these days, because there's all kinds of manipulative ways that 3-point shooters can get points without even making the 3-point shot at this point, So it's very, very tough. And yeah, there's a lot of cleanup on foul calls that are dumb that the Raptors get sometimes that could be fixed. And that's a sign of a young nucleus that's learning, that's what that is. That's right. We could clean this shit up for sure, Neil. You got a good point there. Mo saying, you know what I noticed about Raptor Freak Crew? When I'm in the Facebook chat during games, no one comments. When I'm at the game, you guys comment like crazy. Funny to me, not mad, just saying. Well, I'm going to say this once again, Mo. I really seriously don't want to use Facebook anymore. When I go in there, it's really just to kind of check every once in a while. I hate Facebook at this point. I'm barely using it in any kind of aspect in my life right now. And that's why I gave you in charge of the Facebook group, because I would get rid of Facebook today if I could, but I can't because there's certain things that I still have to keep up with through it. And that's why I'm not on there. Every single message that's written in that box, I don't want to write anything in there because that's all meta and it's all going into weird data centers now. And I don't trust Mark Zuckerberg. So in some ways, that's why I'm putting a cold shoulder to Facebook. It has nothing to do with you. It has to do with Zuckerberg and me training myself not to use Facebook more and more. This is why it's a travesty that you're not on Discord. It's an absolute travesty. If you could just figure out how to get on Discord, you'd be in there with us talking through the game. In fact, I'm going on the mic during the game on Discord. I don't want you to miss out. I've never wanted you to miss out on anything. It's just a travesty that you cannot get in there because you belong with us in there. And don't get mad at me because I'm not trying to give information to Zuckerberg anymore because I hate him. And I don't want to give any more data to Meta and their stupid ass shit. So every time you comment in there, that's going towards that. And I don't want to do that anymore. That's why it has nothing to do with you. And, I'm glad you go to games so often and you can be there. I do check in on halftime and I come in there and I maybe look and see what you're saying. And I put in some comments myself, but I'm not sitting on Facebook in my life in general anymore because in some ways it's like I'm trying to wean myself off of it. If I could quit Facebook, I would do it today. And I'm looking for more and more ways to inch out of there and get the hell out of there because it's not a healthy place to be. It's a place of lies, misinformation, and all kinds of messed up stuff, just like Twitter has become. And you can't trust the guy who runs it at this point. That's why I'm out of there. And I don't want you to feel bad or say, oh, it's because I'm in there or something. No, it's not like that. This is between me and Zuckerberg. And I hate that platform at this point. That's why if I could absolutely just turn my back on it, I would. Trust me. I think a lot of people want to do that these days, right now. Yeah. Neil's saying this because Sean already played for Team Canada. Yeah, he played. Yeah, I know that. What were you saying? I know. I've said that. He played for Team Canada, but he didn't play on the level of the main level. He hasn't played for the main team. He didn't play for the senior men's team. He played for the junior level. And he was a part of this tournament, I guess the AmeriCup this summer, and helped. He was the main guy for that. Yeah, he was okay. He wasn't perfect. He fumbled. Actually, he showed being a young player makes mistakes too. He started very strong in that tournament, played very well, but in the games that mattered, he disappeared and he played like shit. And we lost and we failed in that tournament. We did not win that tournament. We could have. We had the talent to, but Keyshawn George dropped the ball for Team Canada this summer and did not play to his best when it mattered. That's what I would say right there. Stargate saying, just like players are learning, Darko's also learning. Yes, we question his lineups at times, but he's also trying. Remember, he has only been an NBA head coach for 3 years. He's doing okay. I mean, it's a lot easier for armchair quarterbacks to say that they know that this and this, but you being involved in it and seeing it in real life, yeah, you guys would fold and you wouldn't even be anywhere near there. So, you got to give a lot of respect to a guy who's coached for 30 years on a lot of different levels. Sure, he's been a head coach though. It's just it is different. It's the NBA, and there's all kinds of other things you got to figure out as far as refereeing and the referees in the NBA and just NBA rules and the hierarchy and the politics and everything that come with the NBA. Now, Darko's been building up this for many, many years. I mean, he's been a G League coach. He's been a coach of youth. He's been a coach of European teams. So he's got a lot of head coach experience. It's just that being a head coach in the NBA is a whole other level, just like what Stargate's saying right here. That's right. Neil's saying Carrington and Johnson are scorers. Yeah, these are great young players. And, I wish we had more long arm wing guys like that kind of around our team right now. Like we were a couple of years ago, right? Neil's saying Wizards will get one more lottery draft pick and start a push for the play-in. We'll just have to see. Maybe they don't because we don't know. There's a lot of season left, and we're seeing signs of life from the Hornets, the Nets, and the Wizards that they may not be total bottom dwellers, and they'll be more evening out. And there may not be such extremes from like the very worst team in the East to the very top team in the East. Maybe it'll be a little bit more flattened out and a little more evened out going forward. Because look, the Nets beat the Sixers after they beat us on Sunday. The Charlotte Hornets are finding success against other teams other than just us. And I'm sure the Wizards will also going forward. They're going to steal some games against teams they should not beat. In fact, I could see that Wizards team handling the Cavaliers at some point this season, beating the Magic, beating the Knicks even. Like, what if the Wizards beat the Knicks at some point this season and all of a sudden everybody's like, whoa, the Knicks Nation's falling out because all of a sudden the Wizards hung an L on you? I'm telling you, this is a different team. than the normal Wizards. This is a better talented team, and they're starting to come of age a little bit, is what I'm saying right there. That's right. That's right. Let's see. KG was drafted higher than Dick, I think. And somebody said Kevin Garnett. He's talking about Keyshawn George. I don't remember. In some ways, I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Yeah, my bad. KG was drafted in Jacoby's draft. Oh, Keyshawn. Yeah, he was drafted before Keyshawn. Keyshawn was drafted before Jacoby because Jacoby was a late teen draft pick, and George was more like closer to the top 10, wasn't he? I think that's right. Yeah, Common Crazy saying Jakob isn't a starting center anymore. Scotty is not as consistent as Ingram and RJ. Scotty is more talented than skillful. Let that sink in. I don't know. Common Crazy. Usually you just say no swearing, and when you have opinions, it's weird. All right, these are your opinions. Scotty Jakob isn't a starting center anymore. That's not true. He is. He's fine. Scotty is not as consistent as Ingram and RJ. I would maybe agree with that. I mean, it depends on what you're talking about. Scoring. Well, yeah, that's true about scoring, but I don't know if that's true about like imprint on winning. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true, but maybe it is. Maybe it is. I don't know. Ingram's been very consistent for the most part. He's had a couple of dud games, but for the most part, he's been very consistent. And RJ, before he got hurt, was the most consistent of all the Raptors. So there's some fairness in that statement. Now, the next one, I'm trying to figure it out. Are you saying that Scotty is more talented than skillful? I don't know if that's true, man. There's a lot of skills he's learning with Brian Macon at the gym in the offseason, and there's a lot of skills he's shown skill building more and more throughout his whole entire career. It's a lot of what he's doing in the post is the skill building. His mechanics on his three-point shot is skill building. He has skill building from his the way he handles the ball and his court vision. So I don't know. I think he's pretty equal on talent and skill because he's definitely used his talent, his amazing body and physicality and speed with size to become a more skilled player. You know, when he came out of Florida State, he was a ball of clay that needed to be molded, and he's absolutely made progress and developed more and more skills in the NBA since he came out of Florida State. He's definitely not the same player when he was a rookie. So I can't agree with that, Common Crazy. I can't agree with that. I can't agree with most of what you said there. I cannot. I'll agree with the consistent statement, but that's it. Isaac saying this: just remember that internal growth takes more time to develop, and everything earned is most respectable. It's just the nature of fruition. And then remember again, there's also the Leafs. All right, he tried to do that. He took a cheap shot at the Leafs to try and get a dunk. We're not going to do that, Isaac. It's too easy. It's too easy. That's more like a layup than a dunk. That's too easy. Common Crazy is saying, laugh out loud, Lex gonna give him that curved penis. Yeah, see, now that who needs to swear or not here? Now you're getting a little blue here, a little dirty with the NC-17 here. I know. It was phrasing. It was a phrasing issue. This is a common issue with Grady. Phrasing issues can happen with Grady Dick very often. Seriously, this is just something you got to watch out for. Stargate saying Jamal and Mamu are safe as well. Safe as well? What do you mean? Safe to keep on the team? G saying at Common Crazy, we have to keep in mind that Scotty puts a lot of effort on defense too. Players need to pace themselves when playing ends hard. In time, he will learn how to balance it better. Yeah, we saw Scott lead the game last night, and that was a little scary because he hurt his back or his hip. It was weird. He was holding his back, but they said it was his hip. And he was hobbling a little bit. Now, one thing I want to say about Scotty when he's such an emotive player. He's so emotional full. Like he really doesn't he has no poker face. He doesn't hide pain. He doesn't hide and in some ways he embellishes it. I'm going to say this right now. Scotty gets hurt out there. Sure. He has people hit him. He has people physically hitting him and stuff like that, but he is overreacting too to an extent. You guys got to realize this. Some of it is to get sympathy from the refs. You know, these guys, sometimes they stay down just to stay down. So you really milk it. And then they can go over there and look and see if it's a flagrant. You know, there's a lot of that going on in the NBA right now where players are taking a little bit more time to collect themselves after a hard hit so that the refs will really find sympathy and maybe go look at stuff. So I find that Scott, in some ways, is like the boy who cried wolf. I believe that he's getting hit and that he's a very strong guy and he can take it. But also sometimes he's kind of playing it up. Let's just be honest here. and it's for favor with the refs. And you guys got to understand that. Now, when he was holding his back and he was kind of walking a little like messed up for a little while there, and then he had to go to the back with Alex McKechnie, and he probably got a shot that kind of fixed him for just the rest of the night. And who knows how he's feeling today? But he's probably very sore. Um, remember that when you see Scotty react so demonstratively, because he really is like, oh, and like, ah, and like, and like, oh, my, oh, like when he does that stuff, like everybody's heart sinks on the Raptors Nation. Everybody's like, oh shit, Scotty's hurt. Oh no, Scotty's hurt. Remember, there's a certain factor of boy who cried wolf. And also, Scotty's this weird, like Wolverine kind of guy, like Lowry before, where even if he's hurt, he's going to be a warrior and get out there and play either way and keep battling out there and keep playing. So it's a weird thing. Like last year, he played hurt most of the last season. He played hurt most of the last season, but he wanted that goal of making 65 games so he could be involved in possibly getting a bigger contract extension because of hitting goals of different markers with all NBA or things like that. He had to be eligible. So he made himself play. Some people may have not played some of the games last year that Scotty played in the condition he was in. A lot of people probably in the modern NBA. So keep this all in mind with Scotty and injuries and the way he reacts on the court. He's a little bit of boy cry wolf, and he's a little bit overacting. Let's just put it that way. He does a little bit of overacting. We know that he does. He does for sure. Yeah. Let's see. Reggie's saying the Raptors do have a couple of assets to get a capable big. Hopefully, fans don't get too pissed when a trade does happen. I think that they'll be relieved, and I think that they'll be intrigued. I don't think that they'll be judgmental and be like, oh, no. Like if a fan favorite goes or something changes, sure, that'll be tough. But I think that everybody's just really anxious for this to happen. And I think that they'll be more like happy than kind of like, oh, this is, oh man, this guy's going off the team now. I'm going to be sad that they're gone. But hey, look at the promise of this guy coming in who could be on our team now. Yeah. Smooth saying regarding Jakob and my comment comparing him to Larry Johnson yesterday, Johnson did change his game to become an effective player with the Knicks. However, he already had elements of that as a four. Yeah. Yeah, he really changed a lot. In some ways, he changed his position. He was a 3 before, and then he became a strong 4 after his back injury. Yeah, because he was very much more of a high flyer for sure before he hurt his back, and he was a little bit more attacking the rim like a wing. But then when he hurt his back, he became more of a post player in his later career. Larry Johnson, Grandmama, former Charlotte Hornet, former New York Knick. Talking some classic basketball here. That's right. So he's saying Jakob is a 5 in his game based on rebounding, blocking shots, and running the floor. Can he change his game? The Larry did. I think he can. That's the better example for, when we were talking about this with the back thing and you brought up Larry Johnson, the better example is Larry Bird. Yeah. Larry Bird in the last like 10 years of his career, he dealt with these back injuries. He had a back problem most of his career, honestly. And he managed to play the way he did and do what he did with that back problem. So I'm just saying, like, it's different for every player. You can go ahead and say that back problem is going to hurt him for the rest of his career. And maybe it did end Larry's career a little early, but he was still super effective. And we remember Larry Bird laying on the side of the court on his back quite often when he wasn't in the game because he was keeping his back straight and doing different things to manage it. And that was the biggest thing that may have been his biggest opponent in his career later on his life was his back and managing it. But if Larry Bird can have success managing his back at the high usage and the high level play that he did, still with his back like that, sure, he was a maniac and he played through severe back pain. Well, Yak maybe be able to do this in some ways, be like Bird. I mean, he's a better example of dealing with a back injury and having a career still is Larry Bird, not Larry Johnson. Because in some ways, did Larry Bird drop off after all of his back injuries? No, because he was the kind of player that he could play through it in that kind of way. And his style of play, it was not affected like Larry Johnson. So, I mean, there's examples of guys who played with bad backs in the careers in the NBA. And Larry Bird's a good one. He's a good one right there. Yeah. Isaac's saying, why does it feel like we lost the Washington Generals? All right, you're trying too hard. You're trying too hard. The Washington Generals, of course, play the Harlem Globetrotters all the time and lose. This is not the Washington Generals. This is the Washington Wizards. And, as much as they've been a cellar dweller in the NBA for a long time, they have playoff history with us. And some of it isn't nice to the Raptors. Let's just put it that way. We can go back and think about a shot that Kyle Lowry got fouled by Paul Pierce in the lane. And the game was over, and DeMar DeRozan was picking him up off the ground, saying, "It's all right, man. We're going to come back next year, and we're going to do this." There's a history with us and the Wizards, and we didn't always win against the Wizards in those playoff battles in the early 2010s. So yeah, we gotta. In some ways, you got to give some respect to this franchise, even though it's real easy not to give them respect in recent years. There are times where the Wizards were a problem for the Raptors, guys. We got to remember that. We got to remember that. Isaac's saying there's nothing funny about losing to a small group of men in the Capitol acting like wizards. That's just absurd. In some ways, that's just bizarre. All right, that one you go. The third one's the charm. You get it on this one because that's just bizarre. That's like Monty Python kind of comedy right there. Like, what is this? What is this? I mean, I like their mascot. Gee Whiz is cool, man. He's like a big weird Muppet. Gee Whiz. Just the name itself is kind of cool just by itself. All right, you're at 350. Look at that. Isaac has risen up to 350. Kareem, man, you're going to have to get going. You're 8 behind now. 8 points behind on the dunk charts. Kareem, Isaac's trying to take that dunk championship this year. It looks like it, man. Most saying IQ's open gym episode and Sportsnet clips. He's so committed, man. Yeah, the IQ episode was pretty good. We talked about that a little bit. I like IQ saying that Toronto's home. He's used to it. I like IQ's attitude. I like what IQ's doing. That interview with Danielle Michaud was kind of goofy. She's just goofy. That's why. And Brad Faye's voiceover always makes me cringe. It's like anyway. That's my own gripes on that. It's not anything to do with IQ or what he said. It's just the production of it and the people who were like the hosts. Yeah, Sportsnet in general is just not as good as TSN. Although I don't like people disrespecting Alvin Williams. Raptors fans, seriously, if y'all are coming down on Alvin and you're saying that you don't think he's a good announcer and saying all this bullshit, shut the fuck up. You better have respect for a Raptors legend, a guy who helped us win our first playoff series ever. And, just understand that it's good to have former players that actually played in your announce crew. And they don't have to be perfect announcers. You don't have to think that they speak. Some of it's bullshit racism. They don't like maybe the way Alvin kind of has some sayings. Maybe he's a little bit urban in some of the ways he says stuff. And then there's like white people that be like, oh, Alvin Williams is a horrible announcer. He garbles his words. He says things all weird. So like, shut the fuck up. That man played for the Raptors. He put on that purple jersey behind me. And he played in a major badass way for us. He's a fan favorite. And if you're a Johnny come lately to Raptors Nation and you disrespect Alvin Williams because you weren't born before 2000, because you didn't see him play the way he played for when he wore our jersey, you have no right to opine on whether Alvin Williams should be calling our games or not, because he should be, because he's a legend. He deserves it. He's good at the job. He may not be exactly perfect and polished like a professional, like level, like Matt Devlin, because he doesn't have to be, because he's a former player. And if you don't like his old stories about playing with Vince and all that, shut the fuck up too, because that's stuff that people like me that are longtime Raptors fans love, that kind of stories. And you're saying, oh, and he's always coming out with stories about him and Vince, him and Antonio Davis, him and Oakley, all this shit. Why do we have to hear this? He's going to talk about Muggsy again. Oh my gosh, it's making me glaze over my. Shut the fuck up, you newer Raptors fans that don't respect Alvin Williams calling our game on the broadcast. He's fantastic. And for an old fan like me that's watched the Raptors the whole 31 years, hearing the stories now from Alvin Williams' mouth about back then is very gratifying and very, very fun for an old head that watched those games that he played in, and to hear his insights and what he's saying is absolute très magnifique. So everybody who's coming at Alvin Williams saying Alvin Williams horrible at his job, you shut the fuck up and let that man cook, because it doesn't matter if he's the most perfect verbally with what he says. It doesn't matter if he says goofy things like ball don't lie. and stuff like that. If you don't like the urban black culture of Alvin Williams because you're a stodgy old white man, just shut the fuck up. That's what I say right there. And understand, if you guys are going to have hockey guys calling hockey stuff that are old hockey players that play for the Leafs, we can have old Raptors players calling things for the Raptors. And I'll just say that right now. Because seriously, the old heads get it. If you're younger and you don't know who Alvin Williams is, go and take a history lesson. Just like I'm telling the players, go and learn the old history of the NBA to become better players now. Well, fans, become better Raptors fans. Go become a little bit more familiar with Alvin Boogie Williams and find out why 20 was so good for our team. Seriously. Until then, I'm not going to listen to your damn opinions just because you think this and you think that, because you do not get the whole context of why having Alvin call the games is important and special and exactly where he should be. Now, I'll say that over and over again because I get so sick of this shit. Sure, a lot of Sportsnet crew I don't like. I really don't like. Matt, Alvin are not those people. Sherman Hamilton is not that person, and Matt Bonner isn't either. But a lot of the Sportsnet people, sure, they're jabronis. Michael Grange, Danielle Michaud, Brad Fay, of course. But Blake Murphy's fine too. All right, Blake Murphy's cool because he talks to me in 905 games. All right, let's keep going. Wayne's saying this. Morning, Raptor Freaks. IQ looks the same. Hang on, it jumped ahead. I don't know why it did that. IQ looks the same, doing the same failing things. Similar to Pascal, he used to do a lot of predictable spins, which became predictable until he learned to evolve. IQ can evolve too. I believe this too. And he's making adjustments, and he's getting better every day. And you know what? It may not be totally on a maxi level, but I'm telling you right now, if IQ can average almost a triple-double in most games, he's a very worthwhile winning player that will help us win our next championship. And that's part of the goal of what he's doing right now. Good to see you, Wayne. Always great to have you in the chat. Mo's got my cutoff here. I appreciate you, Mo, for the cutoff right there. There you go. Isaac's got us on blast, and he's put the scissors to it too. Neil's saying a game where IQ is perfect 4 for 4 from 3, yet if you understand his role, you know he should have taken 8 shots, whether he's hot or cold. Yeah. I can see that. I mean, that's what Darko wants. He only took 4 threes. That's 6 less than I wanted. Because he's on record for saying, I want IQ to take 10 threes every game. Yeah. I think that IQ is a little more self-conscious about when he pulls that trigger. Maybe he is hearing the noise. Maybe some people are saying, yeah, stop shooting those crazy shots when nobody's back. Because he hasn't been doing that as much recently. Have you noticed? That the IQ shot in transition where nobody's back yet, he's not been doing that. Maybe it's because he feels like I said, you got to earn it. You got to feel like you're on NBA Jam fire. You're in that rhythm, then you can go do that shit. But if you're not, and you're not kind of rolling offensively like crazy through a stretch of games, maybe you don't try and do those crazy shot selection shots until you feel like you're in the groove again. Like 4 for 4 last night. Well, maybe you're in the groove again, IQ. And maybe we'll see you try and attempt those kind of shots in the next game. Maybe. Yeah, Seymour saying, no excuses. Call me. Let's talk about it. Seriously, call me if you want to. HC saying, morning, y'all. Hiding so I could delay from shoveling the snow. I took the snowblower out there yesterday, and it was fun, man. It worked really good. Like, that fluffy snow was flying all over the place. And my neighbor, she was so happy I cleared our driveway. And, yeah, it was just cool. It's like I got out there with my toy, and I tried it out, and it worked pretty well. And I got a good bit of snow blown with the charge on the battery. See, because I don't have a gas snowblower, guys. I have an electric battery snowblower. In fact, all my systems for my yard stuff is now electric. I don't use gas for my lawnmower. I don't use gas for my weed whacker. I don't use gas for my tree pruner or my snowblower. And they're on the same system, actually. And they're all battery charged and electric. And it's great. I love it because I'm doing my part and not adding to the combustion of fossil fuels through dumb stuff like that stuff. So yeah, my snowblower worked really well yesterday. I figured out how to use it, and I did the whole driveway yesterday. I cleared the whole driveway so I could get my truck out with all the fresh snow. So yeah, you got to go shovel snow. I don't know. Get a snowblower, an electric one from Canadian Tire. That's where I got it. The company's called Ego. I think it's called Ego, which is kind of a weird name for it, Ego. but it's supposed to be like Go and E. It's electric Go. So yeah, if you see that brand at Canadian Tire, that's the stuff I'm using right now. For a lawnmower too. Like the lawnmower is electric too. It's crazy. Yeah. Let's see. I just got in from doing that. See, Seymour's been shoveling the snow. HC saying last night's game made me so mad, but guess it's just what we have to accept till we fill the gaps with injuries and replacements. Yeah. The suffering is optional. That's what the Buddhist would say to you. That's what Siddhartha or Buddha would say to you. Your suffering is optional. It's up to you if you want to feel it. It's up to you if you want to go into it. It's up to you if you want to feed it. You can make it sound worse and worse. Oh my gosh, we lost to the Wizards. That's horrible. It's the Wizards. Oh my gosh. And we lost again. We've lost to Brooklyn and the Charlotte Hornets and the Wizards now. Oh my gosh. You could really pile it on and write the sob story and the sad story and make it sound even worse and worse just to get yourself even more mad. That's up to you. That's up to you. Or like I'm trying to give as an alternative of looking at the whole big picture and letting yourself off the hook, not necessarily letting the team off the hook, but letting yourself off the hook. Because why should you suffer because they failed? That's what you should ask yourself today, HC, because you're undefeated, my guy. You have not failed. You've been winning your fantasy team every day, every week so far. And in fact, you're winning once again right now. You got a big lead over MK, two-time WNBA fantasy champion. And you should be very proud of that. So in some ways, detach yourself from the Raptors outcome and go into your own world of dominance in our Raptor Freak NBA Fantasy League. That's all you're going to say. The suffering is optional, Raptors Nation. And if you're mature and old enough to understand this, you can figure it out and you'll live a happier life with this tool. The suffering is always optional. If you want to be like Scott and over embellish the crimes of punishment that the players have hit you in the eye or in the face, you can do that. You can overreact. You can go, oh, like Scotty. But you don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to be like that. You could. Some people in wrestling say you don't want to sell the move. Like, you know, some guys will really try and hurt you in the ring, but you don't sell it. It's a no sell. You don't have to sell this as a Raptors fan. The hurt and the pain of losing the Wizards. I'm no selling this, guys. That's what I'm doing today. Just like a wrestler. Oh, you tried to Ric Flair slap me on the chest? Boom. Woo! I said, no, that didn't hurt. I'm Goldberg. You can hit me every time. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, hit me a couple times. Oh, no, it doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt. That's what I'm saying. We can do this, guys. It's up to you. The suffering is optional. That's what I'm saying. Cool Cat saying, good morning, Raptor Freak crew. Team losing confidence, that defensive energy to help them win is missing. I don't know. Team losing confidence. I think that's a little extreme. I don't know if that's right. I mean, individuals have been losing confidence at times. Sure, Grady, Jacoby. But I don't know if teams losing confidence, like overall. No, they know that they can win games. They just got to play better, and they can do it. Yeah, so I don't get this. I don't know if that overall team is losing confidence. No, I think also they understand guys are missing, and they'll be much better when they're back. So it's all, we got to be intelligent about this. We got to parse it all out and think about this in a logical way instead of emotional way, because there's a lot of emotion in the overreacting and the crazy shit in Raptors Nation. It's emotion, and it's unnecessary emotion. Honestly, it's unnecessary. Seymour saying Charlotte, Brooklyn, Washington, Milwaukee, huh? Yeah, these are better teams, except for Milwaukee. Milwaukee's worse than they were last year. But those other three teams are better than they were last year. They're all better than last year. Charlotte's definitely on the right track. Brooklyn's probably the worst of those three, but they can still rise up and do something like they did on Sunday, especially to an overly tired Raptors team. And the Wizards are ahead. The Wizards are ahead. The Wizards and the Hornets, I kind of see the same. Nets are underneath. But the Wizards are very talented, and they have a very good young core, and they're getting better. This is part of what they're trying to do with them, with Brian Keefe, is to strive and fight, and hopefully we get more wins as we go. And they got a win they earned last night. They earned that win. I can't say anything different. The Raptors didn't earn that win. They didn't make it happen. The Wizards wanted it more, and they got it. And that's what happened. They made their shots. That's right. That's right. Neil saying Wizards can't beat the Knicks unless the Knicks have more players on the injury list. You don't know that. There could be a night where the Knicks come out and they shoot absolute dog shit, and the Wizards shoot so much better, and all of a sudden, the Wizards upset the Knicks on a night that nobody would have guessed. This is the NBA. This shit happens. Seriously, this stuff can happen, man. Fiercely saying the number of times I hear people complain about Dominique Wilkins in his commentary, which I agree, he's bad. We are lucky to have Alvin. What are you talking about Dominique Wilkins for? We didn't play Atlanta last night. Dominique Wilkins is listen, first of all, he's very much like Alvin. Like seriously, I would give him respect and he's ingratiated in. I don't know why people complain about Dominique Wilkins. Once again, he's got the same thing as Alvin. I don't get this. Why are we disrespecting legends that have gone in the broadcast booth? Dominique Wilkins is the greatest Atlanta Hawk in the history of the whole entire franchise. If there's anybody out there dissing Dominique Wilkins and saying he shouldn't be doing that, you're an idiot. Because honestly, he doesn't have to be perfect. That man's a human highlight reel. And he earned his spot. And this is like Michael Jordan calling Chicago Bulls games. If they were lucky enough to get Michael Jordan to come and call those kind of games, they would be so happy. That's what this is with Atlanta. And it's just dumb young people that don't respect the career of Dominique Wilkins that don't get this. See that? I think that's where the problem is. That people need history lessons. People need to understand who these people are. And then they'll have a more well-rounded view on what it is. Dominique Wilkins can speak whatever he wants. That man earned it. Trust me. The places he's been on the career scoring list, the places he's been as a player in his history. No, that man deserves to be able to sit in front of that mic, even if he's stupid sometimes, even if he has crazy-ass opinions, even if some people are criticizing him and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't get that. I don't think he's bad. Why do you think he's bad? That dude knows the NBA better than any of us. He's sitting there, he's watching the game. He's probably coming from a more realistic viewpoint. So, people can say, I don't like his delivery. I don't like his down home sayings. I don't like this. It's stupid. Let these players that earned it, they have a post-game career in broadcasting, and they're good at what they do. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. Let them do this, man. Seriously. I think Alvin's not, I don't know. Alvin's not more important to us than Dominique is to Atlanta. Atlanta's he's so important to Atlanta. He is so important to Atlanta. It's a whole other level of franchise player. He's like Vince Carter for them. Seriously. It's a different thing right here. Yeah. Common Crazy saying Ingram got you tickets to game. How? Sorry if I missed this. Yeah. Yeah. I went to the Brooklyn game that we won on a Sunday on Brandon Ingram's family tickets because Mr. Ingram wanted me to go. His dad. My brother works with a family friend of the Ingram family in Atlanta, and she watched the show, and she said, "This guy's a really passionate guy. I know the Ingrams. Do you think he wants to go to a game on their tickets?" And I was like, "Hell yeah." And my brother arranged it, and they sent me tickets, and I got to sit in the 110 section with the families. And Mr. Ingram came over and introduced himself to me at halftime, and I shook his hand, and we talked for a little while. And then I went to another game a week later with Adriana, and I saw him again. And I said, "Hey, Mr. Ingram," and he walked over and talked to me again for 5-10 minutes. So yeah, I got a little bit of interaction with Brandon's dad this year, which is very cool. And he said some interesting things to me about Brandon and how he looks at playing for Toronto in long term. And yeah, I was saying stuff like, we haven't had many players like the caliber of Brandon in Toronto. I put a short list of Vince, Kawhi, and him. And I hope that unlike Kawhi, he'll stick around and give us a nice, good, long period of time here. You say, "Oh, he's not going to want to try and go anywhere. He's so happy to be here. He really likes the staff. He loves the players. He loves the city." And, he never asked to be traded from any of the places he's been on so far in his career. This is the exact words that Donald Ingram told me. He said he didn't ask to be traded from LA. He didn't ask to be traded from New Orleans, but it needed to happen. So he's not the kind of guy who's going to demand a trade like Kawhi and say, "I got to get out of here." That's the own words from Brandon's dad himself. So if Brandon loves being here and we're willing to pay him, he'll stick around and be on the Raptors for a while, y'all. This isn't not going to be no Leonard and Uncle Dennis cutting out on us. Trust me. Brandon's committed. And in his interview last night after the game, it showed even more signs of it, the way he's talking about us and talking about improving. And, him personally as a player, he's improved his defense a lot this year, showing a lot more signs with shot blocking and steals. And also, he's committed himself to doing more on the rebounding too, to help us with the rebounding. And I see that, Brandon. I appreciate that because in some ways you could just be a scorer and just be like, I'm going to put all my energy into just scoring, but he's doing other stuff too. And he said he would do that when he saw the Raptors. Now they play defense. He has to hold his own and his weight on that, and I feel like he has done a good job doing that, like fitting in as far as the defensive profile of the Raptors. Brandon Ingram has elevated his defensive game since he's put on the Raptors red. So yeah, yeah. Let's see. Fiercely saying this. He has a very negative takes on the opposing teams when the Hawks play them, Lex. Many people complain, trust me. Well, he's a hater. And that's fine, man. In some ways, it's like he has his style. But once again, I'm giving him a pass because when I was a kid and I watched him play, he entertained the hell out of me. And in some ways, I don't hate Dominique. Even if he said something bad about the Raptors, I'd be like, oh, it's Dominique. How can I get mad at him? I don't know. Maybe that's just me personally. And I have more of a history of enjoying watching Dominique Wilkins play in real time when I was a kid and watching a lot of NBA games in the 80s. And Atlanta was a market that was in our market in Florida because TBS. And we did see a lot of Hawks games and Braves games because of Turner Broadcasting system. And so I don't know. Maybe it's a nostalgia thing. Maybe I give him a pass because I know his place in the history of the game. And in some ways, it's like, I don't know. I'd have to hear what he was saying and if whether it was somewhat kind of fair to say. I don't know. I'm not gonna diss Dominique. Dominique's badass. I can't do this. I'm sorry. Yeah, he say he criticizes and instead of complains. Yeah, that's fine. He's an old head. I think I've actually heard Dominique Wilkins on some podcasts in recent years where he's criticizing the state of the new game, like the way it is, and he's absolutely right on a lot of what he's saying because he knows what the NBA used to be like, and he sees what it is now, and he doesn't like it totally. And some of it's fair, what he's saying, and some of it's very, very fair. I don't know. I'd have to hear specific statements he made and then analyze them and be like, okay, yeah, maybe that was a little out of pocket and maybe a little like mean, but also maybe like he's kind of got some inklings of truth in what he's saying too. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm biased because I love Neek. I do love Neek. If you're just saying Alvin will give flowers to opponents and not be too biased. Yeah, I think Alvinson's great announcer. I think he's a great announcer. I mean, I get it. You want to bring Dominique in the conversation because you want to give an example of a bad announcer, but I don't think he's a bad announcer either. You know who's a bad announcer is Brian Scalabrine. Brian Scalabrine is a horrible announcer. He is such a homer, and he is really toxic. Yeah, screw that guy. He's a horrible one. Drew Gooden was on pretty good behavior last night. Sometimes Drew Gooden's absolutely a Raptors hater on the major level, but he was fair to the Raptors last night. In some ways, when you're the announcer for the Wizards, you have to kind of have some respect for the other teams because your team might just get shellacked by that team. So in some ways, he was respectful, but by the end of the game, he was definitely becoming more and more of a Washington homer when he realized they were going to win. And Drew Gooden, as a player, was definitely a Raptor hater. In his career in the different places he was in Cleveland and Washington and other places like that. I don't like Drew Gooden as a person like I like Dominique. But yeah, that's where you get in trouble with former players. I mean, Del Curry, Charlotte, he's a great announcer. He's a former Raptor, but in some ways he doesn't really embrace his Raptor roots like he does his Hornet roots. That's for damn sure. You know, I don't know. The former players that announce in the NBA, they're all different kind of personalities, and some of them are going to be a little bit more jerks. And I would say Scalabrine is one of the worst. Ala Abdelnaby's weird too, man. He's a weird one for the Sixers. He's a weird one too. Yeah, let's see. Stargate saying BI is also talking a lot on the court lately. That's a lot for a guy who's naturally a very quiet person. Yeah. Yeah. And I like what he said about playing Battle the other day. And also, that's what we need more of, I think, in this period where we've been struggling is communication. I feel like the guys aren't calling stuff out to each other and talking on the level that they did at the beginning of the season. And they need to dedicate themselves to communicating on defense and letting each other know what's up and talking more on the court, because that's always the sign of a very good, healthy team. Is communication is high and things are happening in good ways. I mean, there's dumb stuff like there was a point last night where Oshai had to save the ball from going out of bounds, and he was kind of tiptoeing the line, and nobody was back there to help him, save him. And Brandon was kind of in no man's land, and the Wizards got in between him and Oshai, and they stole the ball and got an easy basket. That's communication. That's awareness. And quite often we're missing connecting with each other because communication's not happening. And that has to be cleaned up, along with other stuff like not taking bad fouls, limiting turnovers, passing smarter, making better offensive decisions for better shot selection and higher percentage shots. That's all stuff we got to do better for sure. That's right. Isaac's saying, I miss Raptors tonight for not being able to see Alvin there and seeing those guys eat. It is a real shame that that show isn't happening anymore. But Randy Urban's no longer working for MLSE, and that show's not going to come back, guys. Unfortunately, that's sad. All right, guys, straight goods on Canadian goods. I know some of y'all are sour about the game last night, so I want to talk about full sour dill pickles by Pickle Canadians. If you're sour, eat some pickles. You'll be even more sour in your mouth. And this is a Canadian company, and they are an interesting company. They're grown and made in Canada. They're pickles. They have sauerkraut. They have horseradish, and they're packed with flavor and are good for your gut. So that's the thing. Fermented foods are absolutely really good for your body because the fermentation gets in your good gut bacteria, and it helps it to be a more healthy ecosystem inside your body. There's so many linkages to your mental health, to your gut health, because your gut is telling you literally a connection to your head, whether you should feel upset or mad or happy. And if you have good gut health, because you're eating fermented foods and things and getting good ecosystem in there, you can be a happier person. You can literally solve some depression problems just from eating more fermented foods. I know that sounds crazy. You know, they can actually tell you if you're depressed and you want a quick pick me up, if you have a jar of pickles in your fridge, you could go get a pickle and eat a pickle, and you will absolutely scientifically get in a better mood because the fermentation has effects on you like that. It's almost like taking a potion or something like that, or a power pellet in a video game that absolutely can change. So next time you're feeling a little down or you're negative or you're feeling depressed, go get a pickle and eat it, and you'll literally have a boost to your serotonin in your body, and you'll feel happier. Seriously, that's a life hack that not a lot of people know. A quick fix. If you're in a pickle, get a pickle. How about that? If you're in a pickle, get a pickle. All right, let me go check my tabs. I've been kind of hanging around, just talking. So they say Norman Powell's wishing everybody happy holidays from the Understand the Grind Foundation on the Instagram stories. There's a happy birthday messages for Elijah Martin for his birthday yesterday. All kinds of messages from all kinds of people, from the 905, from the Raptors, from his Florida teammates. All kinds of people, so much love and joy, so many connections. Florida Atlantic people saying happy birthday to Elijah. So happy. Family members, former teammates, just such a rich life Elijah has. So many people care about him and so many birthday wishes for him. That's so awesome to see. Chucky Hepburn showing his son on Christmas yesterday. Happy 3 months to our big boy. There you go. He loves chewing on his hands, slobbering, playtime, a mirror, bath time, copying us and talking. So happy first Christmas to Chucky Hepburn's little 3-month-old son. That's awesome, man. Let's see. What else do we got in the Instagram stories? Do I care about that? No. Let's see. Coco Wade saying goodbye to Miami this week. And then he's showing the snow in Toronto. Yeah, I know. I get it. All white. Let's see. Gary Trent Jr. Apparently is very popular with Donovan Mitchell, because Donovan Mitchell is playing NBA 2K and he was playing as the Bucks, which is a little weird. And he absolutely torched the other team. And he's saying, man, I had you going today, Trent Jr., and he could miss. So he's like, he's thanking Gary in real life for 2K Gary bombing like crazy. You could miss. And then the guy quit in the fourth quarter because you kicked his ass so much. So that's Donovan Mitchell sending messages to Gary Trent Jr. about playing him on 2K and thanking him for kicking ass. That's so weird. It's always that's very weird, especially since these guys play on the Cavs and the Bucks, and they are division rivals that hate each other. But meanwhile, Donovan Mitchell of the Cavs is thanking the sharpshooter from the Bucks, Gary Trent Jr., for his 2K prowess. It's crazy, man. Jacoby Walter with some action shots of him walking into the game yesterday and shots from public. He's very serious. Shots from practice. Very, very serious. Jacoby, you showed some good signs of life yesterday. Let's go. And there's Shed with the same picture. Yeah, light on the Instagram stories right now. People have been hurt and sick and not happy, man. Yeah, Andrew Jones just messaged me back, guys. Holy crap, man. I wrote a message to Andrew Jones before the championship game, and he's in my Instagram direct messages. I said, finish the job today. We are rooting for you from Raptors Nation. And he said, thank you. Came up short, but now we're on a mission for the G League championship. Let's go, Andrew Jones. Wow. I can't believe he wrote me. He did. He wrote me directly just now and said, we're going for that G League championship. You heard it here first. Coach Andrew Jones is saying we're going for that G League championship, and we starting that mission with the Maine Celtics tonight. Let's go, Andrew. Let's go, man. That's awesome, man. Wow. That's cool, man. Sometimes when I get like messages from people that don't expect it, I'm like, wow, Andrew Jones just wrote me. That's crazy. That's awesome. All right, let's do the stuff. There's no birthday today, so let's do the classic card. All right, we've been going a little long, or should we just get this one? Oh, this is weird, man. We've got a sideways card. And okay, this is a weird card, guys. This is a card that has two people on it. So there's two names to get because it's both the card. There's both for both the players. It's actually a matchup card. So full name answer. There's two answers. And you need to write the full name on both of them to get it. So here is the card. And you can see who those two people are. It's Suns versus Jazz. If you can write those two names in, I want to see both the names to get the answer, though. You got to write them both in. I'm not going to split it up. So you got to get them both. Yeah, you got to spell it correctly, man. Slug Deezy's got it. He's all over it. Yeah. Yeah, that's John Stockton and Kevin Johnson in a classic matchup from back in the day, Suns versus Jazz. Slug Deezy, the king of the classic cards, getting it. Because it's two guys on there, we're going to make it a 200-point card. You know, Kevin Johnson's on the list for the Naismith Hall of Fame nominations this year, which is very interesting because he's a dubious player because of post-career things. But yeah, Slug Deezy, you got this one straight up, and you're going to take the lead back from, you kind of got flipped by Isaac yesterday. He got two classic cards, and he jumped ahead of you in the trivia for third place. But if you do this, you should get your lead back from him being third. Fiercey's number one, Amit's number two, and right now Isaac's number three. But I think Slug Deezy just jumped back into third on this one. So yeah, good timely win here because he's right there with you, Isaac Campbell. Just like with the Kareem and the dunks, 200 points for Slug Deezy on the double classic card of the day. Kevin Johnson and John Stockton. John Stockton, definitely a legend. Kevin Johnson was a great player too. No lie, man. Yeah, no lie. Andrew Jones talks to you too. That's awesome, Mo. That's awesome, man. Yeah, he's such a good coach. His journey as a coach of the Raptors 905 has been fantastic. This year has been so successful. And last year was the build to get to this point. And man, he's got a future as a head coach. He does. He's got a future as a head coach. I wouldn't be surprised if Andrew Jones III is going to be coaching an NBA team in the next 10 years. I wouldn't be surprised, guys. He's like that. He's getting good results with our guys for sure. All right, let me see. Is that it? All right, we're going to go back and do the wrap up real quick. Today, Andrew Jones's team is playing the Maine Celtics in their friendly confines of the Paramount Fine Food Center in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. Our crew chief is Chalisa Painter, number 66. Our referee is Gerda Gatling. Our umpire is Teresa Stuck. So those are the refs for tonight's game. And good luck to Andrew Jones and the Raptors 905 to continue your win streak. Your undefeated year has been badass. And we're playing the Maine Celtics. Raptors lost last night to the Wizards. It's disappointing, I know, but I'm trying to help Raptors fans deal with it better. In some ways, the way y'all deal with it is not right, Raptors Nation. Y'all need to calm down. You're crazy on Reddit. Do I dare even look at Reddit? There's just crazy stuff here on here. Like somebody's saying here, if BI has to tell Darko to play battle because he's vital to opening things up, then something is seriously wrong with the coaching. No, the Brandon was going to get his minutes as the go-to guy and the franchise player, and Darko was going to insert him back. But Brandon selflessly said, "I'd rather you play Jameson because he's hitting his shot." And in other cases, it could be Brandon's get a little tired, and on the download, this is good managing him. And in that game, it worked out, right? Because we won that game. So yeah, they're dissing Grady. They're dissing all kinds of people on here, all kinds of different ways. It's just toxic and not helpful. Raptors Reddit. It's just not helpful at all. Let me see if there's any breaking news. I don't see any breaking news there. But yeah, my stars of the game for the game last night: Brandon Ingram, Sandro Mamukelashvili, Jacoby Walter, Emmanuel Quickly, and Grady Dick. Yeah, I gave him 5 stars, even though I probably shouldn't have. Yeah. KG's dunk on Akeem is iconic. Yeah, Kevin Johnson could get up there for a little guard. He had some dunks, man. He was fun to watch. I loved him as a player. As a human being after his playing career, yeah, he's not the best person in the world. Let's just put it that way. He used his position of power for very disgusting things. Let's just put it that way. At least that's the allegations. That's the allegations. All right, y'all. Have a great day. Let's watch the 905 later. If you want to join me on the YouTube chat, I should be in there. Maybe Blake Murphy will be in there too. Superfan Mo. And yeah, tomorrow we'll have the preview for the Raptors hosting the Golden State Warriors, homestand starting. And well, if RJ's back, we can change things a lot with a nice win over the Warriors and get things back right in Raptors Nation the way they're feeling. Once again, I'll say this: the suffering is optional. It's up to you whether you want to go into it like that, or if you want to look at the whole big picture and say this is a rebuilding team, a young core that has to go through learning experiences. It'll let yourself off the hook a little bit more emotionally. Now, if you're just an upset person that just wants to lash out at something, go ahead if that feels better for you. But it's toxic and it's not helpful. And in some ways, Raptors creators, I would tell you out there that are like me, do better. How about that? In some ways, you're encouraging our fan nation to get all angsty and upset, and it's not necessary. It really isn't. I wish more of y'all would take the approach that I do. We can talk about why they lost. We can talk about the Wizards being better than us last night and shooting better than us and out rebounding us. But we don't have to pile on them and make it all worse than being insulting and calling for burning the whole thing down. That's an overreaction. And a lot of people do that after Raptors losses because they just can't handle their emotions. What's wrong with y'all? Seriously, calm down. Calm down. You don't want to be like Lex 15 years ago losing a marriage because he was falling out over Raptors losses. Seriously, it directly contributed to my drinking problems and me losing a marriage. I got a divorce because of being upset about Raptors losing. So in some ways, you don't want that in your life. I learned a tough lesson from overreacting emotionally to Raptors losses, and I lost something in my life because of it. So, you don't have to make the same mistake I made. So go on, get control of your emotions. Be more emotionally intelligent, Raptors Nation. I put that assignment on y'all. And be astute and understand the Wizards are getting better. And this isn't your old Wizards team that is an embarrassment to lose to. That team played very good last night. And they were the better team. They deserved to win last night. That's just how it is. William Lou's kind of getting toxic these days. I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is. I mean, I could read some of the tweets that these guys were saying last night, like Blake Murphy saying another bad one for the Raptors. Shaky loss to Wizards highlights sobering stretch. That's not that bad. That's pretty fair. Lewinberg's saying all kinds of crazy shit. Doug Smith's saying crazy shit. They're going to say this. They're going to go in on them when they lose. That's what the reporters do. I don't even follow Michael Grange anymore because I don't even want to see what he has to say. I figured out I don't really need him anyway. All right, y'all. Have a great afternoon and keep your heads up and keep your pride. And in some ways, it's a long journey. This is just one step along the way, and we're going to get the right steps going in the right direction again very soon. Trust me. RJ coming back tomorrow will help immensely. All right, y'all. Have a great day. Let's go, Raptors. And, it's like I said, the suffering is optional. That's the main message here today. Let's go. 905. Let's go.